Yeah.
Cracker.
If okay, I was unprepared. Why is that made me laugh harder in the past 22 hours than anything in the past 22 months?
Cracker.
Our boy Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast joined us yesterday on the radio broadcast. And yesterday on the radio broadcast, Rashad joins us live on the stream. And Rashad sends the stream out to the PNP Army. So ordinarily, we're carrying about 100, 110 viewers at any given moment during the 4-hour show. And then when Rashad, who does have to his credit, and I appreciate him joining us every Thursday because he has grown a podcast. When we started with Rashad back in like 21, 22, Rashad was just lifting the PNP up off the ground. And now the Panther Nation podcast has quite literally thousands and thousands of subscribers. That's why you go on the PNP pod and he's got like Steve Smith Sr. sitting in with him and a bunch of Carolina Panther greats that come in and co-host. And during minicamp, he's got rookies coming in and introducing themselves via his pod. It's turned into this big thing. But Rashad has always said, look, man, like you got me my first like weekly recurring guest spot. I'm riding with the Rob Brown Show. No matter how big the pod gets, I'm riding with the Rob Brown Show as long as you guys want me to ride with the show. So Rashad has been kind enough when he joins the show on Thursdays, he spreads the stream across the PMP channels, and we watch our viewership like triple, quadruple, and I think that says more about the growth of the Panther Nation podcast than it says anything about this show. So he puts us on his stream yesterday. And like 30 seconds before we're coming back on the radio, and I'm going to introduce Rashad and introduce the show. You try to welcome your new audience to the stream. Like 30 seconds before we come back, there's always a list of guys that are here every week when Rashad is. And most of them are really cool, man. Like most of them come, they hang out. A lot of them will stick around for the last hour of the show after Rashad's gone. But there's one cat who I'd not seen before who shows up in the chat yesterday 30 seconds before we go off in the air, and he drops in our stream, "Yo, stop bleeping with these crackers," end quote. And that, I sincerely mean it. Zoe and I, after the show yesterday, over in the Fortress of Nerditude, somebody would say something, we'd be like, "What's up, cracker? What's up, cracker?" For the rest of the day, Zoe walks in the studio this morning. I'm at the computer. I'm putting the show together. I'm organizing the line. And Lonzo greets me by walking into the Fortress of Nerditude and saying,
Sup, cracker?
Sup, cracker? That's the first. I mean this. Those are the first words that were spoken to me on this glorious Friday afternoon or Friday morning. I woke up this morning. I got up. I got showered. I did the hair. I put on the shirt. By the way, new shirt, Zoe. You like it? New shirt?
I do.
New shirt today. Put on the new shirt. Got ready to roll up in here.
I'm a little concerned the third man's going to walk in here, though. So
you never know. You're the third man.
No.
There's another second man.
No. Oh, so
you don't want to be the biggest name in the faction?
So I can't be Kevin Nash?
You want to be? Okay, that's fine.
I mean,
That's fine. So I woke up this morning. I got dressed. I took my shower. I got dressed. I packed my stuff up. I went in the room, and every morning I go kiss the wife goodbye. And I say, "I love you." And she normally wakes up and says, "Love you too. Have a great day." And I say, "Have a great day, honey. I hope you have a safe drive to work. Hope everything goes." Not this morning. I kissed her on the cheek. She doesn't move. She's out like a rock. Nothing. No response. I'm like, okay, check her pulse, make sure she's good. She's fine. Get up, walk out of the door, drive here to the studio. Nobody's here when I get here. I'm the first person in the building almost every single day. Nobody's here. I walk in, sit down, type my, get the computer going. I'm pulling sound. I'm organizing the rundown. I'm getting our roster ready. I'm making sure I got all the benchmarks ready if we need them, blah, 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 blah. No one has said a word to me from the time the alarm went off at 3:30 a.m. until 5, whatever it was, when Zoe rolls in the building and says to me, "Sup, cracker?" That's it. In fact, that's like, I think, the only words that got said until now. What an absolute beaut of a day to start today. My man said, "Stop bleeping with these crackers," and the newest Rob Brown Show live meme is born. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate 605 AM, the foremost electrifying hours of sports talk entertainment that you will find anywhere on the radio at any point, any day. And boy, howdy, do we have a show lined up for you today.
It's a good day to be hanging out with a couple of crackers.
It's a good day. Good day. We got a lot we got to get into. Get into the NBA, the National Basketball Association, a little bit today. Had a couple of different conversations about the NBA yesterday on BetMGM tonight, filling in for Ryan Horvat for these 3 days. I'll be back on that show this evening because I do not care about my own health, sanity, or well-being. Why not do 8 hours of live radio a day? I'm built different, all right? Had some interesting conversations yesterday. Going to get into that. Going to talk a little bit about Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars for 2 reasons. Number one, they made a couple of personnel moves yesterday. Christian Kirk is out, sent to the Houston Texans for a 7th-round draft pick. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's a trade that literally everybody wins. I think Jacksonville wins. I think the Texans win. I think C.J. Stroud wins. There is only one that I question, and that is Trevor Lawrence, if he's going to win from this trade, but it's not going to be up to him if he wins from this trade. We're going to talk about that later coming up in the radio program. We got a little bit of college basketball coming your way later on in the radio show. We got the SEC Women's Tournament taking place in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. The Gamecocks of South Carolina looking for the repeat, the back-to-back. But they got an interesting little challenge today because the Vanderbilt Commodores took a Tennessee Lady Volunteers team. By the way, I believe this is true. I read this once. I believe the Lady Volunteers are the only Power 5 team that has the word lady in their, like, official team title, right? Like, they're not the Lady Gamecocks. They're the Gamecocks. They're not the Lady Tigers. They're the Tigers. And I've always respected that and appreciated that. If you've noticed on this show, I have never once said, oh, the Lady Gamecocks. I'll say the Gamecocks women's basketball team or South Carolina's women's basketball team. They are the Lady Volunteers. That is their choice, their preference, and I'm here for it. Anyway, they win their opening round contest by 40 points. Yesterday, up against the Vanderbilt Commodores, I'm like, uh-oh, track meet. I went to that game. I'm like, this is going to be a track meet. This is going to be wild. Nope. Vandy blew the doors off the Lady Vols yesterday. A team that won by 40 the day before, Vandy blew the doors off of them the very next day. And so all of a sudden, Dawn Staley's Gamecocks, who admittedly are on fresh legs. They got the double bye. This will be their first game today. And so you get that interesting little conversation going on about ring rust versus rest. This is something we've talked about many, many times. Talked about it back in the college football playoffs. All the teams on the bye, they all lost. Where's the payoff? Where's the split differential between ring rust and being rested, having the fresh legs? Is Dawn Staley's team at an advantage because they got a couple of extra days back home in their own beds in Columbia because they haven't had to run a game? They didn't have to get into a track meet yesterday and try to bring fresh legs today. Or would sitting at the house, sitting at the crib, light practice, walkthroughs, would that maybe take you out of the chemistry, out of the speed, out of the pace? That's exactly correct. Do we get a ding or a dong later on today? I'm going to tell you so. I'm feeling real good today, bud. Feeling real good today. I
think that shirt may be bringing some stuff out.
You know, I got to tell you, I was real upset because I ordered this, and then like 15 minutes after I ordered it and I put in the order, they sent me a email. The company I bought it from sent me an email, and they were like, "Is it like 50% off your next shirt?" I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me this when I could have got 2 of them?" All right. I could have rocked. We could have rocked the Outsider shirts together. Although the reason I had to pick it up is because Deck and I are dressing as the Outsiders on Bet for the Cycle tomorrow. That's a lost bet. Our production team over there, not the brightest group of dudes. They're like, okay, you lost bet for the cycle, parlay view parlay. So the loser team has to dress up like whatever the winners say to do a show. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Like, I assumed it was going to be something dumb, right? I was going to assume it was going to be like, hey, Rob, dress as Chapel Roan to do the show. Which, don't get me wrong, absolutely would have. Don't care. No shame in the game. We had the show like 2 weeks ago. And they're like, we've decided that we want you guys to dress up like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, the Outsiders. Deck and I are like, oh, no. Oh, bummer. What a
Not being accusatory here or anything, but you are going to wash the shirt before tomorrow, right?
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. There was hesitation there. I mean,
I get a little sweaty up in here. It gets a little warm in the AM.
I know. And, I mean, even though you do the show from your house and you can be stank if you want. I'm just saying,
Be stank if you want. So we'll talk the SEC women's basketball tournament coming up here later on in the show. Vanderbilt had a young lady who snagged 16 boards yesterday in that game.
Is she a tall individual?
She's a tall individual. 16 boards in that game. Now, sometimes I'd like to stand up and just go, hey, that's a real good game. That's a good game. Here's the problem. The lovely Lulu Kesson was in the building yesterday. She covers the Gamecock women's basketball team for the Greenville News. She came by, hang out in the studio with us for a couple of segments. And I said, yo, what is the kryptonite for this team? If this team can't repeat, if this team can't repeat the SEC Women's Championship, if this team can't repeat in the NCAA tournament, what is going to be the reason? What takes them down? And what does she say? Rebounds, rebounds, rebounds. She said people do not understand how important Camila Cardoso was to that team. Not as a point scorer last year, but as a rebound factory. They don't have that this year. Chloe Kitts is a very good four, but she's a good scoring four. She's a good, not great, rebounding 4-5. They don't really have a glass machine this year. I don't know if Vanderbilt does, but they did yesterday. 16 boards. That won Vanderbilt the game. Everything else we can talk about, but that won Vandy the game yesterday. And now South Carolina's got to figure out, how do we wipe the glass when we got somebody that we might as well call Windex, because she cleans up the glass game by game? And the answer is, I don't know. I got to tell you, I am more comfortable, as talented as those teams are, I'm more comfortable with South Carolina v. either Texas or LSU in the finals than I am. I got a weird feeling about today. I feel better about their fourth-round matchup, assuming that they knock off the doors today. I feel better about their matchup with Kentucky tomorrow, assuming Kentucky wins today. I feel better about the Gamecocks matchup with Kentucky tomorrow than I feel about their matchup today against Vanderbilt, just because the strength of Vanderbilt is getting those extra boards, extra shot opportunities, extra possessions on the offensive glass, limiting you to single opportunity possessions by cleaning up the defensive glass. That's what they do. And so because of that, and that being, unfortunately, I would say, the weakness of the South Carolina Gamecock women's basketball team this year, I am more apprehensive and anxious that this team gets shocked, upset, and bounced in the first play game today. It's not first round, but their first game that they are playing in, than I am about their game tomorrow against Kentucky if they move on, than their game in the finals on Sunday against, likely, Texas or LSU if they move on. Because neither one of those teams has the strength of dominating off the glass. From what we saw yesterday, Vandy's kind of got that. And that is the weakness. So we're going to talk more about that one later on in the show. I'm very interested. I will be getting up out of here like when the show's over, because I'm getting my big crack behind down to the well. There's nowhere else I'm going to be at noon on a Friday afternoon than watching that game play out at the Bon Score Wellness Arena. I did forget to bring a polo, and I just realized that, Lonzo. I did forget to bring a professional shirt. Am I going to do I go to this game with the Outsiders tag team shirt on, or do I need to go downstairs to Roy and be like, bro, give me a collar quick?
Just walk around saying, hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, I mean, you got...
Say hello to the bad guy. I don't have that this morning. Not yet. We're going to get there. It's early. We're just ramping up.
Or
We're
just
warming
walk
up.
around, act like, I thought wrestling was today. Why? What's going on?
Listen, I got told that there was a heavyweight showdown taking place this afternoon, right here in Greenville, South Carolina, and that heavyweight matchup starts right now. That's what you got. That's what you got to say if you're putting a match together in process. You got to say it starts right now. That's a wrestling trope. All right, we got a lot more than just college basketball. Then we do have to get to college basketball because the men wrap up their regular season tomorrow. I love you tomorrow. The Clemson Tigers are looking for 3 specific outcomes tomorrow. They got to win. Lowell's got to lose. And the UNC Chapel Hill Bills, the Tar Heels, got to knock off Duke. All 3 of those things happen. Clemson wins the ACC regular season outright, becomes the number 1 seed in the tournament. If not, they could be seeded 2. They could be seeded 3. There's a big difference in the tournament bracket between those 2 seeds. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. And, of course, coming up at 8 o'clock, your audio blitz. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be an extended one because the sound roster is good today, including Dale Jr. Dale Jr. told the story of the time that he farted in the White House. And if you don't think we're about to play the crap out of that, I don't know what to tell you. If it makes you feel better, Zoe, he was on the podcast with his wife, and his wife chastised him greatly. It's pretty funny.
I don't care about it. I just don't like the word.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, everyone passes gas everywhere.
You're gonna hear that word a few times today. We'll get to that. Plus, Kim Commando found a way to work around artificial intelligence. And I want to see if Lonzo is willing to maybe tiptoe a gray line in order to avoid giving his info to our AI overlords. Also, I found an AI robot that knows jujitsu now, Lonzo. We're back after this. Good morning, America. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Yeah, see. I know Kung Fu. Show me.
I know Kung Fu. It is a Unitree G1 robot that apparently...
What are you watching that on? What platform?
Instagram.
Okay. I was going to tell you to send it to me.
Oh, I can email it to you.
Yeah, do that.
I don't think you have to have Instagram.
We do for Upstate Pulse.
Okay.
I just don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember the password. So, I mean, I've handed it off a couple of times to other people on the show, so they can handle it. They just don't ever do anything with it. I shouldn't have to do everything, but Actually, everyone I hand it to, they end up quitting, or or are no longer available. I mean, they're all still in the company, pretty much.
I literally saved that just to show you. That's the only reason I kept that.
Yeah, well,
I was like, he'll love this.
That's the word I'm thinking of. Love.
Mike, good morning, big dog. Welcome in. I left my hand drink in there.
1 minute.
$220.2. Aggravating 2.2 is on a scale. 220.2. I'm like, 0.2? 0.2. That's like 1 chicken nugget, dog.
Stand on your head. It works. It's an old high school wrestling trick. Stand on your head. Yeah.
Well, first off,
you can lose ounces standing on your head. I don't know why.
Legitimately, really?
Yeah. I'm not trying to get you to stand on your head.
I'm saying you are. I believe you. I'm just
back in the day. I don't know if they still do it, but I can tell you in Ohio, back in the day, if you walk in the locker room, see someone standing on their head before weigh-ins, they're trying to drop Drop some ounces. I don't get it.
So I found out the reason. Like if you wanna check in at your true weight, they tell you weigh yourself right. Like wake up, go to the bathroom, then weigh yourself.
Right.
That's your lightest weight, right? And I found out the reason why is obviously we're 70% water. When you're breathing throughout the night, you're constantly exhaling water vapor, and that's it's a solid chunk of weight that you drop at night because of the water vapor. So I wonder if maybe like it resets the fluid in your body in some kind of way. It's still the same amount of mass. It shouldn't change it. It's wild if it does.
You can also hold your breath. It's just, and it can cause the scale to flutter a little. It's so weird. It really is. You don't think about those things.
I can see like hitting like right before you step on, hit that big exhale, and just hold not your breath, I guess. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. Let's start it off by telling you can start it off. 844-326-3663 is the phone number, 844-FANFONE. That's the number to text the show. That's the number to call the show. Let me give you a little bit of free advice. Just make a contact in your phone that says the Fan Upstate and lock that number in, 844-326-3663. Do that. Then you can just text us at will. Hey, Google, text the Fan Upstate. Knock it down. Join the show. It's better when you're a part of it. All right. I want to get to some stuff. I believe in starting the show off. I believe in starting the day off. I believe in starting any and everything that you do off with a positive mindset. If you listen to this show, you know that with Zoe and I drop that sick beat at 6 a.m. and the show gets rolling. No matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, no matter what's happening in the world, 6 o'clock we hit full afterburner. And to me, I believe that it is mucho importante to start anything you're doing. If you're hosting a show, if you're getting to work, you're having an interaction with the loved one, you're hitting the gym, whatever. I believe that the way to make the most out of it is to have the most positive outlook and mindset and attitude that you can have. You can convince yourself that anything is a good thing if you attack it with a positive mindset. This clip comes from the Combine. Now, we've had fun with Combine clips over the last week. NFL Combine came to its conclusion last weekend, Indianapolis, Indiana. And it's one of my favorite, the week after the Combine, week into and out of the Combine, two of my favorite weeks of the year. And one of the big reasons is because we start getting video of dudes at the Combine not working out, but their interviews, their press conferences, their interactions with teams. And we've had some fun ones. We had a cat that got asked, what's your hobby? What do you do for fun away from football? And he said, I go to the store and I buy boxes of like the random mystery generic brand cereals and potato chips, and I try them. I taste test them. And they're like, you do this on YouTube? He's like, nope, just me. They're like, you do this by yourself? Yep. You do it like just for fun? Yep. He said he tried a vanilla avocado potato chip, which I will tell you, Zoe, I looked around. I couldn't find it anywhere. That's not to say it's not a local brand, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I've been looking for it too.
Couldn't find it.
I still think that's a little shady.
Because I'm going to tell you, if I do find it, I'm sitting in on Upstate Pulse that very next Saturday. All right?
Works for me.
So, we have fun with some of the random clips. We had the story earlier this week of Fred Smoot, who would go on to have a legendary career with the Minnesota Vikings, who back in 2001 wanted to be drafted to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but John Gruden passed. Why? Because Fred Smoot walked into his combine meeting, according to John Gruden, and before he said, sup, coach, how's it going? Happy to be here. Looking forward to talking with you. Looking forward to becoming a Buccaneer. He didn't say, I want to be a Buck. He walked in the room. He looked John Gruden in the face. And what I assume was a moment of just unbridled confidence. He said, 30% of planet Earth is covered by water. I cover the rest. 70%. All right, yeah, I know. As soon as I said it, I realized I was wrong. But at that point, I was rolling. And again, confidence, even when you're incorrect, will take you places. All right? And for the record, I understood that attitude and that approach from Fred Smoot. You know how I got my first job? I lied my ass off. I walked into a radio station. I said, I'd like to work on the radio. And the guy said, have you done broadcasting before? And I said, yep. I had not. Not once in my life. Not a day in my life. So I spent 2 days reading on the internet. This was the 2007 internet. It was a very different place. How to run a radio board so that I could go in the next day and start radio production. You know, again, confidently lied. Here we are 17 years later. The point here is, kids, if you really want something, lie to get it. It works.
No, don't.
That's the lesson here.
Don't listen to that.
I wouldn't be on the radio here with you guys in Greenville, South Carolina, if I didn't confidently lie to my very first boss.
We all have the stories. Some of them are better or worse than others. So.
I'm just saying. I lied. It worked. All right. Now, this clip I'm about to play you was from this year's Combine. This clip I'm about to play you was from the University of Texas defensive back, Jahdae Barron. He got brought up to the podium during the Combine. First I heard this clip was yesterday about 5:30 in the afternoon. I was sitting down to get ready to show prep for BetMGM tonight because Brad Evans is a college basketball psychopath. And I know he's going to be like, hey, what do you have in this, like, University of New Mexico, El Paso, Southwest East Agricultural School? I'm like, Brad, I don't know. You're asking me about, like, the 312th ranked team against the 360. I don't know. I don't even know what the mascots of these schools are, but you got to learn. So I sat down to do an hour and a half, 2 hours of prep before I filled in with Bradley Evans, and I was scrolling around the social media, and I found this clip.
I learned one thing, and I kind of take it like life. It was something I told myself every single day I woke up, and I wrote it on my mirror. I said, can I be committed to the process of what I'm doing without emotionally being attached to the result of what I'm doing? So, like, when things wouldn't go my way, could I still be dialed in? So let's say, for instance, if I did get caught on, could I still lock back in, engage, and see the bigger picture, that this drive's still going and they didn't get in the end zone? So that's just me being committed. And I took that every day with life. Just anytime I would go through something, you just have to just adapt, and you have to just play the game how it is.
That's the kid I'm drafting. I need a DB.
Wow.
That's the kid I'm drafting.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, I like goofy, funny, silly Combine answers where guys are there just having a good time because they're confident, they feel good about their chances and all that. I mean this when I tell you. I heard that clip yesterday, Zoe, and it reset my entire mental, like, landscape as a whole. Honestly. Like, I heard that clip. Can I be dedicated to the process without being emotionally attached to the immediate result? That's incredible, because
It's also very hard to do.
it is incredibly hard to do. And I will say, your mental capacity is like a muscle. I'm not a motivational speaker. Welcome to my TED Talk. Your ability to put yourself into a good mental place, it's like a muscle. You got to work it out to make it strong. And I think even the most positive people sometimes get into a spot where bleep hits the fan. Maybe you dig yourself down. Lonzo will tell you there's plenty of days where I'm like, all right, everybody, thanks for listening to the show. Have a great day. And I'll end the stream. And then I'm like, I suck. That show sucked. I suck. I don't know how I'm doing this job. I don't know why they're paying me for this. Boss is out of town. I can say all this safely. And I will open that door, and I'll go to the Fortress of Nerditude, and I'll slam the laptop down. Gently, Chris, don't freak out. And then I'm just like, I'm leaving this building. I'm going to do my work somewhere else. I can't be here. I'm too ticked off right now. I can't handle it. I heard that clip, and it reset my entire mental attitude. That's the kid I'm drafting. That's the kid I'm drafting. Jahdae Barron out of Texas is a dude I want on the squad. A guy who says, can I separate trusting the process from the immediate results of one circumstance? He said, look, if I give up a catch, I give up a catch. What I got to do is look in the mirror and go, did I give up a touchdown? No. Then I got a chance to make another play. That reset my mental attitude to the standpoint that yesterday, Brad and I were doing a segment on BetMGM tonight. I'm on, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 radio stations nationwide. They get a handful of thousands of online listeners and stream viewers. It is, without a doubt, the biggest audience that I broadcast in front of, and arguably the most important. Not that it's more important than you folks in the GVL, but I'm on in front of who knows how many tens of thousands of people that might be the one that go, hey, we heard your show. We'd like to syndicate you and Lonzo. Because you got a lot of love on BetMGM tonight last night, as a matter of fact, Alonzo, in the final hour of the show.
Why?
Me and Mario were talking about you.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell you later. It was all good. It was all positive. Mario repeatedly referred to you as the great one, by the way, so you can send his check. I'll give you the address. So we did a segment in the third hour of the show, and again, Bradley Evans is a college basketball psychopath. Like, this dude can tell you stats about teams you didn't know existed until he told you they existed. It's wild. And he kind of got deep into the field of 68. And he got into a couple of teams that I'm like, on the radio, I'm like, Brad, I'm going to keep it a buck with you, buddy. I got nothing for you right here. I've been in this game 17 years. I take pride in my ability to, like, research and analysis on a thing we're actively talking about.
Hey, good on you you could have winged it and pretended like you knew
100%.
what it was. Yeah, you could, because a lot of people do that.
100%.
And unfortunately, most of them are not good at it, so you can tell that they don't know.
For sure. It's a talent that I definitely have. But in this moment, I'm like, this is too deep for me to make up. And I said, Brad, I'm going to be real honest with you, man. I got nothing on this game. I said, I'm locked in on the college basketball weekend, final weekend of the regular season in the ACC, the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12. Nationally, I'm locked in. Tomorrow night on the show, when we're talking about Saturday's games, you won't get me to shut up. I got plenty of takes, but I got nothing on this game. And he's like, don't worry, I got you. And he ends up carrying the segment. And we go to the break. And when we got to that break, I was embarrassed, right? Because it's like, I should know this. He knows that. I should know this. He's in on that. I should know that. And I didn't. I felt real bad. And then this clip replayed in my head. And I'm like, you know what? You got everything. Because 2 segments before that, we had a guy come on the show that covers the NBA. A guy by the name of Sean Powell, nationally published beat writer for the NBA. He came on the show, and he and I were kicking it back and forth to the point that Brad Evans sent in our little chat behind the scenes. He's like, damn, this is a good conversation. Keep it rolling. Like, absolutely. Phenomenal. No problem. I had to reset. What I'm saying is, listen to that clip. Carry that with you. That's the attitude that we're going to approach this show with. It's the attitude you should approach your day with, and it's the attitude I want out of a player. Now, I'm the same dude that 2 days ago was like, y'all got to get up off Shedeur Sanders' behind. Y'all got to leave my dude alone. He's Deion's kid, and he's been a superstar everywhere he's gone. The man was the most sacked football quarterback in college football last year. You know how many games he missed? None. You know how many snaps he took off? None. He performed. Do I think he's a top 10 pick? No. But do I think he's a top 10 pick or not a top 10 pick because he's cocky and arrogant? No. I think he's Deion's kid. This kid I'd draft on attitude alone. This kid's a kid I'd draft just to have him in the locker room. That's the attitude we're taking into the show today. So, strap in because we got 3.5 more hours. We're talking hockey. We're talking basketball. We're talking baseball. We're talking college basketball, NBA shooty hoops. We're going to have a good day, kids. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. I am glad you asked that, Zach. Are you going to run it back with Auburn? I'm having a hard time saying yes. We talked about this on the show last night. We've now had back-to-back games. One was a good win over Kentucky. One was a shock loss on the road at Texas A&M. Janai Broome, who 3 weeks ago, I said on nationally syndicated radio is the best player in college basketball and nobody could touch him, including Cooper Flagg. Janai Broome in those 2 games scored 8 and 9 points on about 30% shooting from the floor. He has fallen off. Last night, we had a cat on BetMGM tonight who covers the Auburn Tigers for AuburnLive.com. Really good coverage, too. And I said, is this a lingering injury issue is this a throttling down before we get into the SEC tournament and into the national championship game? Or should bettors who have Auburn in the Final Four be concerned right now? And because I'm one of them, his answer was, if you have Auburn in the Final Four, you should be concerned right now. You should, because teams have figured out how to attack Janai Broome in a way that he can't just physically dominate them. It's what they're doing to Nikola Jokic in the NBA right now. 2 covering, 1 front, 1 back. We're not going to let you get him the ball at all. We're going to give up other shots, but nobody else is hitting him, so we're going to take Jokic away. Basically, teams started doing that to Auburn and Janai Broome, and they were in a scrape against Kentucky, and they took an L to Texas A&M, and I am genuinely concerned now. So I don't fill my bracket out, obviously, until like the morning of day 1 of the tournament. I want every little bit of information and data I can get because I do one bracket. I can't stand people who do like 9 brackets and then they come up in here the next day and they go, hey guys, I picked 3 of the Final Four. Yeah, on one of your 9 brackets. I'm not giving you credit for that.
By the way, I'm okay if you fill out 9 brackets on 9 different contests and you come in and you've won like thousands of dollars. I'm okay with that. I don't know anyone who's ever done that, but I'm sure someone out there.
This is one of those pride before the fall moments. I fill out one bracket and I ride that bracket everywhere. I'm either winning every bracket contest or none of them.
Everybody by aligning himself with the Rock. And why have you talked to him? Why did he do this?
You're a really good friend.
Thank you.
That's a long way.
We do.
Please stop. I'm tired of guys like you. I'm tired of the other phone calls I'm getting. I don't know why he did what he did. You're going to have to get that from him. I am so tired of this. Why don't we just let it play out and find out what's happening? A reporter's a reporter. But listen, Bill Apter, friend, enough's enough. And thanks.
Who was that?
Hello?
Yeah, Bill Apter, I really appreciate it.
Well, wait a minute.
It's John Cena's dad.
Apter, I wouldn't say what Cody Rhodes said to you, but you know what I will say?
What's
Have
that?
a nice day, and thanks for nothing.
Jeez.
Jeez.
Cena's dad. I will do a bracket contest again this year, Zach. We had I reached out to last year's winner about coming on the show, and they never responded or got back in touch with me. So we'll run it back again this year. Pushed it. Knew it as soon as it left the club head.
Why are people calling John Cena's dad to ask him about stuff? I mean, that was very entertaining.
Because they know he'll play to it. He did a segment with them like a long time ago, didn't he? Oh no, the Mrs. Dad did. That's who I'm thinking of. Mrs. Dad got in there and took a couple of bumps.
Did you see Tony Storm getting attacked on the red carpet?
I have not.
I'll send it to you. That was brutal.
So the National Football League had a busy day yesterday, and it's going to continue this way. It is March 7th. We have got 3 more days until the league new year, and then 5 more days until free agency negotiations begin, and just a couple of days after that before all 32 teams must be under the salary cap. And teams are starting to make moves now in order to get themselves to that spot, to both lock up their talent moving forward, but to make sure they're under that cap as well. We talked yesterday. Joey Bosa was cut by the Los Angeles Superchargers. Saved them a bunch of money for a player who's missed, very talented, but missed a lot of games the last couple of years. Yesterday, the Jacksonville Jaguars made a couple of moves. The first was to trade Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans for a 7th-round draft pick. The second move was to cut tight end Evan Ingram, who has been with the team the entire duration of the Trevor Lawrence era. These moves were made for salary cap purposes. These are 2 players, both of whom have missed quite a bit of time over the past couple of years due to injury. Christian Kirk is honestly, to me, very much like Adam Thielen, he's a guy that is talented enough that I can line him up as an X and he'll be fine. But if you want to get the most out of him, you put him as the 2 or you put him as the slot. He was effectively running the 1 for Trevor Lawrence for the duration of the time that he was in Jacksonville. I'm intrigued by what this team does to take TL16 to the next level because I have come to the realization that much like I was about Bryce Young, I think I'm the only non-Clemson fan in America that still believes Trevor Lawrence can be not just a successful, but a very successful National Football League quarterback. I think I'm the only one. Yesterday on the show, the evening show, there were 4 of us, myself, Bradley, Brandon, and Hayden Ass Mario. I was the only one who said, I'm kind of starting to look at Jacksonville as maybe the most interesting team this offseason. Philly re-signed Saquon Barkley, made him the highest paid running back in the history of the National Football League. You got moves taking place all over the place. Kansas City is moving on from Joe Tourney, but then they turn around and get another guy who's in that same ilk. Like there's a lot of interesting moves happen between a lot of powerful teams, a lot of good teams. But I think the Jacksonville Jaguars might be the most interesting team this offseason so far for a number of different reasons. Number one, it is the, at this point, lack of confidence from everybody in Trevor Lawrence. Number two, it's
Duval.
Their new coach, Liam Cohen, guy that stepped in for Dave Canales in Tampa Bay. A lot of people thought Dave Canales, the reason that offense worked, Liam Cohen stepped in as the OC. Tampa Bay didn't really miss much of a beat after Canales left. He got that job after he kept Baker Mayfield inside of that region of statistics that earned him the fattest contract of his career. I'm interested in seeing how that plays out. Shad Khan, the owner. I've said for a while, I think they're the biggest problem, much like the Dallas Cowboys, much like the Carolina Panthers up till last year, the biggest problem the Jacksonville Jaguars have had is that their owner is disconnected. Now, all of them are disconnected in different ways. Jerry Jones is disconnected from reality, and that Jerry Jones still thinks he's doing a good job as the GM. Literally, no one else but he and Steven do at this point. David Tepper, disconnected from reality. David Tepper, a hedge fund, baby, who took over that team and then decided, IR football guy. And he and his wife had the fingers in every little aspect of putting the team together. Did not go great. And then there's Shad Khan, an owner who, I genuinely believe, only owns that team so it continues to pay for his $3 billion yacht that he drives around the edge of the United States going and partying at the Super Bowl and whatnot. And again, I'm not hating on the guy for it. If I ever become a billionaire that can afford a $3 billion yacht, you're all invited to come hang out on it. But
probably everyone would fit if it's...
It's a big-ass boat.
Yeah.
I saw it when I lived in the butthole of America. He literally parked it like on the river, on the St. James, a quarter mile from the stadium. So if you were going... This is my favorite part about the Jags. If you were going to a Jags game, because if you live in Jacksonville, you don't live in Jacksonville. No one lives downtown. It's a soulless, concrete, corporate hellscape. No one lives in downtown Jax. So if you want to go to a Jacksonville Jaguars game and you live over where all the people live, you got to drive across a bridge that brings you over the St. James River and towards downtown where the stadium is. And if you cross that bridge, great one, when you got about halfway across, you look down to the left, and that's where Shad Khan kept this $3 billion mega yacht. So when you were going to go watch your 3 or 4 win football team play, you had to literally stare at the owner's 3 whatever it is billion dollar yacht. And it was a wonderful way for him to laugh in your face. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you buying me this yacht. Go enjoy your Sunday ass whooping over there at AT&T or Nextel or whatever the stadium was at the time. Shad Khan, I don't think, maybe up until now we'll find out, I don't think that Shad Khan is a guy who is genuinely connected to the football team. I think he's just a guy who owns the team because it makes a lot of money. And he has been kind of split the difference. I shouldn't say split the difference. He's the opposite end of the spectrum of Dave Tepper. Dave Tepper wants to have a say in every little thing that happens. Shad Khan's like, y'all got this. Just go ahead and direct deposit this month's few $1 million when it comes in. All right? I'll see y'all for whatever I got to show up to next to flirt with celebrities and get more money. I don't feel like that's what's happening now. Not that I think Shad Khan is going all Dave Tepper and putting the fingers in the pie, but what I do think Shad Khan has done is sat back and went, you know what, at some point I am costing myself money. I'm never going to lose money, but I could be making more money if the team was good. So he went and he got Liam Cohen. Didn't just get him, but was like, I'll act shady, right? The whole Liam Cohen leaving Tampa thing, you remember the drama about the fact that he just went MIA? Tampa Bay Buccaneers were about to call in Olivia Benson in the Law & Order SVU unit to go find Liam Cohen. And then he just pops up the next day like, Duval. It was great. It was great. I'm here for it. I'm here for some shady backroom stuff in the NFL. So all of this drives at this move to trade Christian Kirk to Houston for a 7th rounder. This move to cut Evan Ingram, the tight end, who has kind of been a security blanket for TL16. You know what it feels like to me? Feels like Jacksonville's about to get a little weird. Free agency negotiations start up in a little over a week. I think they're about to get a little weird. I think, or at least I'd like to, for Trevor Lawrence's sake, I think this team, who does have, by the way, a good amount of cap room to play with.
How is this not a Florida tradition where certain teams get rid of all their players?
Because
don't most Florida teams in baseball do this?
Yeah, but the Miami Marlins don't count as a professional organization. They are neither professional nor organized.
Well, you keep saying Jacksonville doesn't count as a town or city. So
no, it counts as a town. It's just a butthole of a town. I hate it a lot. In years gone by, I actually would have felt that way. I'd have been like, yeah, of course. You cut the only 2 guys on your offense that helped. Of course, that makes perfect sense. But then I went and I looked it up, and I'm like, all right, Christian Kirk, who has missed, I think, like 24 games in 3 years, was set to make a cap hit of like $27 million. By sending him to Houston and having them pick up that money, that's like $27 million off the books. That's a lot of money. And they make that move, again, a week ahead of the free agency period opening up. A free agency period where we know there's going to be a couple of wide receivers available. Yesterday, there were 2 or 3 reports that came out discussing the teams that were in on Lockett and in on Metcalf, the guys that were cut and allowed to go find a trade from Seattle. Now, the smoke and mirror said that Tyler Lockett's on his way to Vegas and that deal's just about already done. But Jacksonville was listed as one of the teams that was not just in on, but was making a heavy push for DK Metcalf. I don't think he's going to end up there because he's explicitly said, I want to play for a contender. And even if they have a spectacular offseason, I think Jax could be better. I don't think they're a contender next year. But the fact that they are not just in on, but are apparently being wildly aggressive to get DK Metcalf tells me they're ready to make that move. They're ready to be serious about being a good football team. So I'm going to say the Jacksonville Jaguars under Trevor Lawrence are now my most interesting follow over the next week and a half. Because if it pops up on free agency day number 1 and early in the AM, 8 o'clock on the dot, I'm in my drop top when the deadline passes that you can't talk and now you can. If we see a quick hit from the Jags, that tells me they were working. They were working the phones. They were out there. They were trying to make contacts and get ready. And I'm in for that. And the fact that Liam Cohen was willing to leave a team that is likely going to come into the next year as the betting odds-on favorites to win the NFC South again, in order to be a head coach at a team that has like been winning 4 and 5 games a year for a very long time, since what, Mark Brunell left Jacksonville? And then they make the moves they made yesterday. And they made them the way that they made them. What that tells me is they are trying to open up their cap because they want to be buyers. And more importantly, they want to be buyers who are going to find guys who fit into whatever philosophy and model Liam Cohen brings to the table, and find guys that fit in to build around Trevor Lawrence, not try to squeeze the square peg of Trevor Lawrence into the round hole. I've drawn the comparison a bunch of times between the growth and development of the Carolina Panthers in the back half of last season and the couple of years before that. I have said a couple of times, and I know some people who disagree with me, some people don't. Carolina, after Frank Reich left and they finished that year, they went and they found themselves a new age head coach, a guy who sees the system, sees the game a little differently. They went and got a GM who attacks the game of football, not as a businessman, but as a football player who knows the business side of it. The owner has gotten out of the way of football ops, but is still invested in making the business side of it very good. And the most important thing of all, over the past 2 years, Carolina has made the decision to build around Bryce Young and not, we're the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young's going to fit to us. No. You build around your guy. The Kansas City Chiefs built around Patrick Mahomes. The Buffalo Bills built around Josh Allen with the exception of, a wide receiver. By the way, they're in on DK Metcalf too. Look out if he ends up in Buffalo. But they built around him. Baltimore's built around Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry is the perfect complement for Lamar Jackson. The great teams, the good teams, the real good teams in the NFL build around their franchise quarterbacks, not expect their franchise quarterback to fit into their model. And if Jacksonville decides that they are going to follow that this year, if Jacksonville looks at this and they go, you know what? We got to build around Trevor Lawrence. And they take all the money they just saved by trading Christian Kirk and taking his number off the books, by cutting Evan Ingram and taking his money off the books, by going and getting Liam Cohen, a guy who is there because of how well he worked with a quarterback last year. All of the sudden, the Jags become interesting. And they're interesting for one more reason. Because if all of the things that I just said come true, Lonzo, next year's a make-or-break year for Trevor Lawrence. Next year is his put-up-or-shut-up year. Next year is his year. I'm not saying you got to go win 11, 12 games. I'm saying if at the end of the year we can't point and go, you've been a 62% completion percentage guy who's been like 1.75 to 1 touchdown to pick ratio, if those numbers stay in line, TL16 will be cooked. But if they build the team the way I think they are, following the Panther model, I think Jacksonville's very interesting next year.
Personally, I think he is what he is, which is a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, he was great in college, but he's a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. There's only one way that we're going to find out if he's great or elite or something, and that's by him going somewhere else. He's never going to do anything in Jacksonville. He should, if he were to get traded, which rumors were like Pittsburgh was trying to get him, if he would get traded to a good team, then we could find out if he's any good or not.
See,
he did win a playoff game.
He did win a playoff game.
With
not just a playoff game, like the biggest come-from-behind victory in NFL playoff history.
He did. He absolutely did. But in the end, this is probably all he's going to be.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we've seen the flashes. That playoff game was one of the flashes. We've seen some regular season games where he's popped off for 295,
so you're
3 and
trusting
done.
Jacksonville that all these moves they're gonna really do something good because they've shown in the past that they would do that.
They've shown in the past when Trent Baalke, universally disliked as a person, was their general manager, and Shad Khan didn't pick up the phone and call Trent and go, hey, we got to change this. We got to do this differently. I'm tired of running a bad organization. Trent Baalke got fired because, and this is the rumor, and I'm going to work on it right now because I want the Jags. I don't want the Jags to be good. I want Trevor Lawrence to be good. All right? I'll just keep it a buck. I'm being biased here because I'll make more money if he is. Liam Cohen, the smoke says, basically told Shad Khan, I'm not coming to Jacksonville unless I get a GM who I can work with. And that's when Trent Baalke got fired. A guy that, again, Jacksonville fans have wanted gone for like 3-4 years, and Shad Khan never stepped in and made a change. They've changed the GM. They've changed the head coach. Now they're cutting the most expensive contracts they have to open up even more cap room on what was already a pretty decent number. I think there's a little interest in this team from you next year. We'll find out. All right, when we come back, Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, top 3 sports stories that you need to know. We'll break down today's South Carolina Gamecock women's basketball game against the Vanderbilt Commodores. They knock off Tennessee yesterday to move on to take on the 1 overall seed, but South Carolina winning that 1 seed via coin flip. Not the standout dominant team they've been in years gone by. Can they repeat? We'll talk about that. More NFL news and notes, men's college basketball. Busy day, and it's all preceded by the best 60 seconds of your life, this Sports Flash.
I'm not going to deny that that's true. I'm not. It's one and done in the ACC tournament for the Clemson Tigers women's basketball team, getting dropped by Louisville 7-68. Hannah Cohn led the Tigers with 14, while Mia Moore. I'm going to go with Mia Moore. Loyal McQueen and Raven Thompson all added a dozen. Mia Moore, I think, is a singer. The Tigers were out-rebounded 41-26 in a loss. South Carolina Gamecocks opened their SEC tournament action today against the Vanderbilt Commodores after the Doors knocked off Tennessee yesterday 84-76. Michaela Blakes led all scorers with 24, while Yana Moore added 23. Camille Pierre had 16 with 15 boards. The Commodores and the Gamecocks will tip at noon at the Well downtown. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. as Furman Paladins take on the Sanford Bulldogs in the first round of the SoCon basketball tournament. It's Furman versus Sanford right here on the Fan Upstate. Famine. If you like the Furman Paladins, you should tune in.
And here we Go. Item number 2 of the Rob Brown hour. No, why have I done that like every day this week?
I think you've only done 2 days this week, but yeah, it's don't do that.
Hour. Number 2 of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Great to have you. On a Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Yes, indeed. Plenty to get to, plenty to talk about on the radio program today, and I want you to be a part of it. 844-326-3663 is the number, 844-FANFONE. Put it in your phone, text it, call it, be a part of it. Let's talk some sports. We got a lot we still got to get to on the radio program. We got your audio blitz coming up in an hour, and we got a full roster. Maybe even jump into that a little bit early and go a little bit late because we got plenty we got to get to. We've got a weekend of men's college basketball to get into as the regular season finales are set to take place this weekend on the men's side. The conference championship tournaments underway on the women's side. We'll address those here in just a few minutes. We've got some NHL news and notes. Carolina Hurricanes get a 3-2 win over the Boston Bruins last night. Sebastian Aho back into the goal-scoring category. We'll talk a little ice hockey later on in the show and more. But before we get into any of that, before we start getting into the deets and the X's and the O's and the human interest stories that we all love so much. It is 7:02 in the a.m. You've got less than 58 minutes till you got to get your little behind onto the office. You got to sit down. You got to log in. You got to go through that two-factor authentication system that we just all love so very much. You got to respond to the boss's passive-aggressive emails last night when you were sitting home trying to watch a little Lakers-Knicks, and you just ignored them all. Now you got to answer. It's time to pay the piper. And then about 17 minutes after all of that, you're going to get up. You're going to walk down the hallway. You're going to go to the break room. You're going to stand around that water cooler with Jeff from accounting. He's a big basketball guy. And you're going to talk sports. Well, if you're going to do that, you got to know what's going on. You got to know what's happening in said world of sports. And ladies and gentlemen, that is why every morning at 7 o'clock, Lonzo and I do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers say,
You stay classy.
Cracker! Before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports. This AM, when you do this, is what you'll be talking about. Let's dive right in. Head first into item number 1. We'll knock this one out first because we talked about it back in the first hour of the show. We can bring it back up in hour number 2 very rapidly as part of the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet. Pair of moves made yesterday by the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll see if it's because they're just Jacks being Jacks or if they're actually going to make a move to try to help Trevor Lawrence, succeed for the first time since he got brought down to the butthole of America. The Jags made 2 moves yesterday. The first was to trade wide receiver Christian Kirk to the Houston Texans in return for a 2026 7th-round pick. Adam Schefter reported that yesterday. The Jags initially planned to release Christian Kirk when the new league year begins on Wednesday upcoming, but they got a call. In their own division, the Houston Texans said, hey, we'll take him. We'll trade you a 7th for it. And Jacksonville agreed. This is kind of interesting because the Houston Texans, Stephon Diggs is a free agent. Tank Dell's availability for the 2025 season in question since his injury happened in Week 16 against the Chiefs at the end of the year. Underwent a second surgery last week to repair a torn ACL after earlier having surgery to repair other ligaments. My man is falling apart at the seams, being held together by Band-Aids and bubblegum at this point. So that's a question mark, meaning they needed somebody, even if it's just to fill the space until they get Diggs back. Probably not. Or they find out that Tank and Nico are going to both be good. So they go grab Christian Kirk, entering the final year of his 4-year contract, scheduled to have the Jags' highest cap number at $24.4 million. That money now moves over to the books of the Houston Texans, meaning the Jags now have a little bit less, but right around $22-ish million to add to the salary cap. It was also announced very shortly after that the Jags will be releasing tight end Evan Ingram, per a league source, a move that will save the team roughly $6 million in salary cap. That came down the pipe shortly after the announcement that Christian Kirk would be moving over to Houston. It leaves the Jags without 2 of Trevor Lawrence's pass-catching leaders over the past 3 years. However, it does add about $30 million to their salary cap availability. Well, $30 million is the kind of money that you need to go get a DK Metcalf, to go get a Stephon Diggs, to go get a top-flight wide receiver, something that, respectfully, Trevor Lawrence has not had since he arrived in Jacksonville, Florida. That's a lot of money that the Jags can now go get a numero uno, an X, to put on the outside and give Trevor a legitimate threat. Christian Kirk's been fine when he's been available. He's fine, but much like Adam Thielen was when he was the X in Carolina, he's out of position. He's good enough that he can still succeed there, but it's not going to be where he's going to genuinely thrive. I think you saw that last year when Adam Thielen moved back to the slot, and even though the yardage was about the same, the big catch rate went up for Adam Thielen. I think with a true X, Christian Kirk could have been a dominant force for the Jags, but they were paying him top-flight wide receiver money for a slot playing the X. That's not it, Chief. I'm excited because I think, I will even go so far as to say that I hope that this is an indication that the Jags are actually going to invest in Trevor Lawrence this year. If that does turn out the case, this year will be the put up or shut up year for Trevor Lawrence. Let's get to item number 2. This is not necessarily a move that if, I don't know, probably 28 other Major League Baseball teams announced yesterday that they were close to a contract extension with their manager, would make the water cooler cheat sheet. It would make the water cooler cheat sheet, say, if it was the Atlanta Braves, because we got a lot of Braves fans in the office. It is the number 1 rooted for Major League Baseball team in our market. It also is a water cooler cheat sheet item for the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers are, I'm sorry to all of you, the most dominant baseball team that's ever been assembled. That's not a guarantee they win the World Series. It just simply says 1 through 9 on the lineup, 1 through 5 on the starting rotation, and through the bullpen. It's the greatest collection of talent that any Major League Baseball team has ever stacked in any year in the history of a baseball. It is led by 152-year-old Dave Roberts, who has been in charge of that team for the past decade, and now it looks like he will stay in charge of that team for at least a few more years. And by a few more years, I mean a long-term extension is in the works. The Dodgers and Roberts have been working on a new deal since around the start of February. They apparently had been pretty far apart, which makes sense. Dave Roberts like, yo, I got rings, dog. I have brought in, by being here and having, again, rings, bruh. I brought in a lot of talent. Part of the reason you have the greatest collection of Major League Baseball talent ever assembled is because I'm here and I'm the coach and guys want to play for me. And the Dodgers went, well, we're kind of paying Shohei Ohtani like 17 gazillion bleeping dollars, so we can't really give it all to you. Davo said, yes, please. Yeah, you can. Well, apparently they have found some neutral ground. The largest current contract amongst managers belongs to Craig Counsell, who signed a 5-year, $40 million deal when he left the Brew Crew to stay in division and go coach the Chicago Cubs back in November of 2023. The assumption is that Dave Roberts' new deal will surpass Craig Counsell's either in total value or average annual value, if not both, though the terms of the deal have not yet been announced. Roberts has led the Dodgers to 4 National League pennants, 8 division titles, and a 63% regular season winning percentage, the highest ever for a manager who has managed at least 250 games. We will find out if he stays on board? The answer is yes, he's absolutely going to, because the Dodgers don't care about money. Money's not real to them. World Series rings are, and they're going to get a few. Let's get to item number 3. We can talk about the fact that yesterday the Vanderbilt Commodores, and yes, I am leading with the fact that we are talking about the Vanderbilt Commodores women's basketball team, but I bring it up because that's a basketball team that you South Carolina Gamecock women's basketball fans are going to be watching play today, because they take on the Gamecocks in round number 3 of the Southeastern Conference Women's Basketball Championship Tournament. They got here by taking down a Tennessee Lady Volunteers squad that won their round 1 matchup against Texas A&M by 40 points. I said track meet. I said over. Over under this game was at like 125. I told Lulu Keston of the Greenville News, who was in studio with us yesterday in town to cover this tournament, I've never had an easier bet in my damn life than betting the over in this game yesterday. And of course it hit. 84-76 your final, but it is the Doors, the 8th seed, who hold serve and move on to take on the Gamecocks today in round number 3. Michaela Blakes had 24 and 4 assists. Ayanna Moore had 23, 4 boards and a couple of assists. But I'm going to tell you the name, Gamecock fans, that those of you who skip work today, like good fans will, to watch this game at noon, whether you're heading down to the well to watch it in person or you're posting it up in front of the big screen to watch it on nationally syndicated television, Camille Pierre is the name you're going to want to keep an eye on today. Why? 16 points. Good number. Good number. 15 boards in this game yesterday. Vandy out-rebounded Tennessee, a good rebounding team. They out-rebounded the Tennessee Volunteers yesterday 42-34. 15 of those 42 belonged to Camille Pierre. She had 27 minutes of action. She came down with 15 boards. She is a 6'2 sophomore out of Phoenix, Arizona, made her way to Nashville, Tennessee to play for the Lady Doors, who had a coaching change, and she decided she's going to stay, ride it out. It's a pretty interesting story going on there at Vandy. But here's what we know. What we now know is that this team, this Vandy team, can wipe the glass. They can get offensive boards. They had 15 of them yesterday. They can keep you off of the offensive boards. They had 27 defensive rebounds yesterday. When we had Lulu Keston in the house yesterday to talk South Carolina/SEC tournament shooty hoops with us, I said, hey, if South Carolina can't repeat as the SEC champions, as regional champions, as national champions, if they can't accomplish these things, what do you think would be the reason why? What's the kryptonite? And Lulu Keston's been riding this horse all year long. She said, hey, can't rebound. Not that they can't rebound. Let me be clear. Lulu Keston did not say that. I'm putting words into her mouth. Lulu Keston said the rebounding has not been a strength like it was last year. Last year, Camila Cardoso and Chloe Kitts combined to clean up the glass. This year, Chloe Kitts by herself. The team can get pushed off the glass, and they have been guilty of doing that in a couple of games. It happened in that loss against Texas earlier in the year. They just got shoved around underneath the basket. Last year, South Carolina killed you by coming up with as many offensive rebounds as you came up with defensive rebounds, giving themselves plenty of second chance opportunities. They're not doing that this year, at least not like they did last year. Here come the Vanderbilt Commodores, a team that was able to collect second chance opportunities yesterday. A team that was able to keep Tennessee, who did do it against Texas A&M, from giving themselves second chance opportunities. If this game does not go the way of Dawn Staley's Gamecocks, that's going to be the reason. The reason is because they will lose the rebound battle. That, to me, obviously, aside from points scored, that, to me, is the only number that matters in this game. I mean, obviously, turnovers matter. Obviously, assists matter. Obviously, time of possession matters. Obviously, quantity of possession matters, yada, yada, yada. The number that I genuinely think will dictate a dub or an L, South Carolina moving on to round 4 to face off with probably Kentucky, getting by the 8th seed, the Vanderbilt Commodores, is the rebounds. And as we talked with Lulu Kessin yesterday, I said the interesting thing to me as somebody who's been an advocate and proponent of college basketball on the women's side for a very long time, I find it very interesting that when I was in high school and Diana Taurasi was at UConn, Gino Auriemma was in his prime. He still is, but was in his prime. There was a gap in talent. You had UConn, you had Pat Summitt's Tennessee Lady Volunteers, and then just everybody else. Everybody else. Now, the gap in talent isn't from 2 to 3. It's from 11, 12 to 13. I think the same is true this year in the SEC. There was a step back in talent on the roster in Columbia, South Carolina. I think anybody with an objective brain is able to look at that and see that. You lost a couple of studs off that team who went up to the dub. But I also think LSU, even with Angel Reese leaving, LSU, even with Floje being out, LSU's still a good athletic basketball team. Texas is still very good. Even the next level of teams, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, those teams in that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 range, they're closer to South Carolina this year than I think anybody has been in the last couple of years. This is not a game that Gamecock fans should look at and go, we're the 1 seed, they're the 8 seed, BFD. We got this, right? We're going to go in there. I would be very careful. This is a good Vanderbilt team. Good rebounding Vanderbilt team. Watch that rebound number. If you get to halftime and Vandy's up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boards at halftime, you better hope that the shots are dropping for the Gamecocks because that's where they'll get you. If you get to halftime and you're in the ballpark in terms of rebounds, maybe they're up 1, maybe you're up 2, 3, probably going to win that game. But that is where this game will be decided, on the glass. By the end of the day, I'd like to be able to call the Gamecocks Windex because they cleaned up the glass. But that's what's going to make or break. We'll talk more about that tournament and that game coming up at noon later on in the radio broadcast. Got some men's college shooting hoops and more all coming up. I'm Rob Brown. He's Lonzo. You are listening to The Rob Brown Show. You are listening, ladies and gentlemen, to the Fan Upstate. Talked about the Elimination Chamber, and after you talked to Mario about the Cena heel turn, he said, I haven't watched wrestling in like 30 years, but I went because I had Peacock, and I watched it just for funsies. He said, and I've been watching, like, clips have started showing up on my algorithm, and he said, I kind of want to call you the Paul Heyman of sports talk radio. And I was like, Brad, that means more to me than a race. Mario's like, who's Paul Heyman? I was like, well, I'm getting you there. Day at a time.
That's a pretty big compliment.
It was a pretty big
Can you
compliment.
live up to that? I don't know.
Get up. Let's go.
I've seen a lot of Paul Heyman lately.
Well, the tribal chief should be returning pretty soon, I would think. Got a few stories he could be involved in. Are you a fan of having characters involved in multiple storylines at the same time? I am.
Yeah,
That's how a locker room would work.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, that's not going to get there. Did you guys meet Lulu in person? Yes, Trey, we did. She came in studio yesterday, and she was lovely. She was very kind. But she came in yesterday. She sat with us from like 8 to 8:30 and broke down the whole tournament, broke down all the teams. It was great. And my favorite part of it, Trey, was I said when women's basketball season comes to its conclusion for the Lady Gamecocks, whether it is today, well, not today because they're in the tournament as a 1 seed, obviously, but whenever it comes to its conclusion, regardless of when it is, what are you going to do next? Like, do you stick on that beat during the offseason? And she said, no, I love college baseball. I'll be covering the baseball team. Hell yeah. Big fan of college baseball. Pretty excited about that. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Text the phone line, 844-326-3663, or call the text line, 844-326-3663. Texter said, I don't know what day it is. Y'all didn't play the Friday song in the water cooler bumper. Alonzo, can we drop a little Becky White on the people?
Cracker.
There it is. Now I feel better. Hurricane Jeff says, good morning, fellas. Have a great day, Jeff. Appreciate you texting the show. Big dog, be safe out there. Jersey Joe on the Facebook chat said, good morning, Rob and Lonzo. Baltimore bound. Be safe, big dog. What you headed up to Ravens country for? Be safe up that way. Trey on our stream, which, by the way, you can watch the live stream. We're live all 4 hours, all 5 days of the week that we are here. Brief programming note. I will let you know that I will be out next week on Thursday and Friday, and then out the following week on Monday and Tuesday as the lady friend and the little bro booked me a nice little surprise trip down to the great city of New Orleans, Louisiana. First time I have been home since I moved here, which is sad and depressing. Headed down to NOLA for St. Patrick's Day weekend for a delayed 40th birthday party. Also get to hang out with some family members I haven't seen in a very long time. So I'll be out next Thursday, Friday. I will be out Monday, Tuesday after that on a early. I don't do vacations early in the year. I certainly don't do them in
I'll be
September.
out too. So I mean, it's just we will be out.
We will be out.
While he's
well, hang on.
While he's having
You'll
fun.
be out Wednesday of next week. I won't be.
Because I always take a spring vacation, usually to do yard work. But this year, I'm putting new floors in the house.
Yeehaw!
So, yeah.
What a vacation for the great one.
That's what I do when I go on vacation usually. Is work that I don't have time to do during the work week. What can I say? But we both will have fun. You'll have more fun than me, probably.
That is 100% correct. 100%. So I will be out. I will be here rolling solo on Wednesday. Lonzo will be out Thursday, Friday. We are both out. Monday, Tuesday, we are both out. We will return the following Wednesday, fresh, rejuvenated, and ready for a little March Madness action.
I'm going to get you to we. There's just so much but I'm going to get you to we. It's been over 4 years.
In fairness,
I'm going to get you to we.
Elected or not, great one. When I'm not here, you're here, but the people miss your dulcet tones.
Well, that's because I wish I was good enough, people. I'm just not. By the way, tune in tomorrow night to the Upstate Pulse.
If it makes you feel better, I wish I was good enough too. All right. Let's roll on with the radio broadcast today. We have, as we mentioned, a bunch of NFL news we got to get to.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
It's random, but I like it. I like it.
Well, I mean, because you're telling them what we're going to get to, so you're whipping out
that is true.
the content. So it made sense.
That is true. I am whipping out the content. So excuse me while I whip this out. I do want to get to a little college basketball on the radio broadcast because on the men's side tomorrow, everybody's in action as we wrap up the regular season on a Saturday night. Got some games going on tonight. Not exactly a stacked schedule, at least in terms of your national championship contenders. We do have a lot of teams that are wrapping up their season. Just I think just one ranked team in action tonight. Number 16, Memphis, is at the crib, the FedEx Forum, taking on USF. But outside of that, there's no other ranked teams in action tonight. Tomorrow, just about everybody is. If you're a college basketball fan, tomorrow's a must-watch, including a noon tip between St. John's and Marquette. That's a big one. Number 19, Kentucky, taking on number 15, Mizzou at noon in the Southeastern Conference. Number 25, Mississippi State is at Arkansas out in Fayetteville. Arkansas has kind of found a little momo towards the end of the season. Mississippi State, kind of one of those teams that, like, if they have a good end of the season and make a decent little run in the SEC tournament, could fight their way in. Penn State is at number 12, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's probably a 3 seed. They lose this game to Penn State. They could drop off a little bit. We got South Carolina on the road at number 4, Tennessee tomorrow. Probably not going to be a great day for the men's basketball team. That one tips off at 2 o'clock on the SEC network. And then on into the evening, just about everybody else with a number next to their name will wrap up their season. That includes the Clemson Tigers at home for the final time, taking on the Virginia Tech Hokies at Little John Coliseum. Now, we have been talking about this for the past couple of weeks. What, if anything, does it matter if Clemson wins or does not win the ACC tournament? The answer is not much because, and I like this, I mentioned a couple times earlier back in the first hour that my co-host, or I guess I should say I was his co-host the last 2 nights, and will be one more time this evening, Bradley Evans of BetMGM tonight, which you can hear on this and fine Odyssey stations nationwide from 7 to 11 every weeknight. Brad Evans, I mean this, might be the most knowledgeable college basketball dude on the face of the damn planet. All right? This guy can give you the deep dive metrics on teams you didn't know exist. He's going to have a breakdown tonight of tomorrow's big matchup between Binghamton, and
Say it really fast and with a British accent.
I can't. How did that make it harder? Binghamton and Albany. He'll have a read. He knows his stuff. So yesterday evening we were doing a segment called Tequila Thursday. Why? Because you take a shot at plus odds bets. We take a shot. We throw out some long odds bets that we think's a possibility. You got to do 3 of them. That's our little game. We keep track. One of the ones that I gave out was the Clemson Tigers at plus 420 to outright win the ACC tournament. Now, I did take them about 3 weeks ago to outright win the ACC regular season title. That's still in play, although they're like 25 to 1 now, because they would need a couple of things to play out. They would need Louisville to drop a game to a very outmatched Virginia team. They would also need, a little bit more likely, but not likely, Duke to fall on the road to Chapel Hill, to North Carolina, come on and raise up. Both those losses happen. Clemson would then be a game ahead of Louisville. Louisville holds the tiebreaker over Clemson. They would be level with the Duke Blue Devils, but Clemson, by way of their upset of Duke at Little John a few weeks ago, actually holds the tiebreaker over Duke. So 2 L's to everybody else and a dub for Clemson tomorrow. You can win the ACC outright. Realistically, probably not going to happen. You need a pair of upsets. One of them a double-digit upset. The other very close to it. I think Duke's favored by 9.5 going into that game. That was a number a day and a half or so ago. I'll check the updated lines here in just a minute. But My thought here is I'm not particularly worried about that. I'm really more concerned about the ACC tournament. I'm really more concerned about Clemson showing up in that. And I do want to be very clear about this. You're going dancing. That's already locked in. But when I said Clemson to win the ACC tournament, I then said to Brad Evans, I acknowledge that I cover this basketball team. I acknowledge that I want Clemson basketball to do well, to go deep. Hell, I'd be happy with them winning a natty. Why? Because if the Clemson Tigers are playing in the Final Four, if the Clemson Tigers are playing in the college basketball national championship game, Rob Brown's going to make some money. We're getting some people that go, hey, I'd like to give you guys dollar bills to be talked about on your radio show while everybody's tuned in to listen to you talk about Clemson basketball. Absolutely, I accept. Rob Brown will likely be asked to come out somewhere in public and watch that game and get paid for it. Big fan, big fan, big fan. So I do have a rooting interest, a financial interest. My wallet, it's my favorite thing. And Clemson doing very well. As of right now on Joe Lunardi's bracketology, the Clemson Tigers are in a 5 seed. They are in the Providence Regional, out there with a play-in winner of Nebraska Boise State, out there with Purdue, and out there with High Point. The bracketology today, and there is obviously plenty to change and a lot of seeds to jump around, says that Clemson would catch the winner of the play-in game between Nebraska and Boise State. If they get by those two teams, they would catch the winner of Purdue and High Point. I will tell you, that's a tough round 1 and 2 for the Clemson Tigers. That's a tough opening bracket. There's a lot of other spots in 5 seeds, in 6 seeds, in 4 seeds that I'd rather be in than where Clemson is, which makes, to me, the ACC tournament pretty damn important, because the ACC tournament is going to be how Clemson improves their spot, moves up to that 4 seed. Now, what I'd like to hope is that moving into that 4 seed would get them out of Providence and it would put them somewhere else. I look out in Denver, Maryland, Drake, Arizona, and Akron. Maryland's a fun little team that's kind of hit the throttle. I'd rather play them out of the gate than Nebraska or Boise State, even as a 12 seed. I'd rather play Drake in round 1. I'd rather have Arizona, who is a good offensive team, but a team that if you play gritty defense can kind of be taken out of the rhythm a little bit. I'd rather play Akron, the 13 seed, if they were able to pull the upset. I want to move. I'd rather drop to where Oregon is a 5 seed out in Seattle. Yeah, I got to travel to the other side of the country, but who are they up against? McNeese State, the 12 seed, a mid-major AQ, Texas A&M, a 4 seed, and I will say this. I said this on the show last night. I'll say it again here. Good win over the Auburn Tigers on senior night. It was also by far and away, without question, the absolute best that the Aggies have looked so far this year. And I think people are overreacting. They lost 4 games in a row before they knocked off Auburn. 2 of them to unranked SEC teams. One of them being Mississippi State. Again, not a bad team, but I don't put them amongst the best of the best in the Southeastern Conference. I'd rather be out there in the 4-5 spot where A&M and Oregon are. I'd rather be in the Seattle 5 hole. That's where Mizzou currently is. They got Yale and AQ in the opening round. They got Michigan, who is doing the opposite of throttling up. And then they got the Chattanooga Mocs as an AQ. Again, if they hold serve and win the SoCon. So, with all that being said, right now, Clemson's in the worst 5 seed spot out in Providence. The worst 5 seed spot. There's one way and one way alone to get out of that, and that's to perform in the ACC tournament. A lot of schools that say, hey, man, look, you're already in. You're locked in. You're going to be a 4, 5, or 6 seed. You're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're one and done in the ACC tournament. That's where you're going to be. You've had enough of a regular season that, yeah, you might drop a spot. Hell, maybe you drop 2. But if you drop 1 or 2, you're still kind of going to be in that weird spot, because now you're dropping down to a 5-6 seed, or to a 6-7 seed. All of a sudden, you're starting to have to play a little bit better competition a little bit earlier in the tournament. I'd rather you move up, whether it is up to a higher 5 seed or maybe with a good run through the ACC tournament, Maybe you jump up to a 4 seed. Maybe you fight your way all the way to a 3 seed. Maybe you find yourself in a spot where you're looking at the 3 spot where Kentucky is with St. Mary's, Indiana, and Utah Valley. Hell yeah, give me that. Maybe where Texas Tech is, where it's Marquette, UC San Diego, and Northern Colorado. And AQ out of the Sun Belt, out of the Big Sky. Yes, please. This ACC tournament is going to be, to me, wildly important for the Clemson Tigers, mainly because I want the hell out of that Providence Regional. Send me further away if you get me out of that Providence Regional. That's a tough spot. Scott on the stream said, as someone born and raised in Providence, Clemson wants to avoid that region just to avoid that city altogether. The Providence home arena has horrible issues with moisture on the floor. Hey, whatever the reason is, I want this team to perform well. What does that mean? Build the momentum up against Virginia tomorrow, because you didn't against Boston College on Wednesday. Let's take a break. Back after this. It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Oh, baby. All right. What is this that you just sent me? Because yes, please.
I haven't heard the sound, but it looks really cool. I'm not so sure about what happens to Samurai Jack.
All right, guys, give me just a second. I will be right back. Don't go anywhere, please. And the Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob, the Great Malonzo, and you. 844-326-3663 is the number if you want to be a part of the radio broadcast. Jump on board with a text or a phone call. Clemson basketball fans, what's your thoughts heading into next week's ACC tournament, and then Selection Sunday. I know a lot of teams kind of, I don't want to say throttled down, but maybe don't really care as much about conference tournaments as we used to, which is kind of becoming the college football trend, let's be honest. But I do. And it's not so much because I necessarily am, super pumped about hanging an ACC conference championship tournament banner up in Littlejohn. It's more about get the hell off that 5 seed in Providence, Rhode Island, man. Find you a new place to go. All right. Let's get to this one real quick. DK Metcalf released by the Seattle Seahawks earlier this week. Not released, pardon me. They told DK he could go search for a trade. Tyler Lockett was released by the Seattle Seahawks. He is, as of right now, the popular thought is he's heading to Las Vegas, Nevada to be the newest Raider, which is dumb because they're not going to be good next year. Sorry, Cody Decker. Love you, buddy. DK Metcalf got permission to go find a trade, but that the Seahawks would be able to make their own phone calls as well. Seattle said straight up, their GM straight up said, we're going to do whatever's best for the Seahawks. You want to trade, that's fine. We'll do the best we can to send you to a team that you'd like to play for. But if we get an offer we can't refuse, we're going to have to take that. We got to do what's best for us. So we'll see what happens. There is one more interesting discussion. General Manager John Schneider of the Seattle Seahawks was on the Seattle Sports 710 a.m. yesterday. And one thing that he did not do was rule out that the Seahawks might make a new offer to DK Metcalf and keep him. They said, you can go look for a trade. We're going to work the phones too. But they might offer him a new deal. He said that if the two-time Pro Bowl selection is dealt, it'll be to the team that gives Seattle the best offer, not necessarily where Metcalf wants to go. And that is interesting. This is, and we talked about this Monday or Tuesday of the show, that like at some point we're going to get to a point in professional sports where teams are going to start being less, cordial to players when they make demands, right? Like DK Metcalf comes and goes, I want to be traded, and I want to be traded to a contender. We're not going to say, yeah, we'll trade you, and we're going to let you narrow the list of teams down that are trade partners. If you want to be traded, great, but we're going to send you wherever's best for us. And even though Rob Brown is ordinarily, let's say well over 90% of the time, pro player, cool, I get it, right? Like, I get it. You signed that contract. It sucks that the team made decisions that you're unhappy with, which is clearly why DK Metcalf wants out. They said they were working on a trade before that happened, but the announcement of the fact that he was searching for a trade partner came out right after Tyler Lockett got released by the team. So, tell me those aren't connected, right? Here's why that move's interesting. We talked about this yesterday with Rashad Beard. Lonzo and I have talked about it a number of times. I don't know if they are interested in it or not. But the Panthers should be. The Panthers should be. Rashad Beard said yesterday, I said, hey, are you going BPA, best player available, or are you going with biggest need regardless of who the next player on the board is at that position? Rashad said he is a BPA guy, but he said it's a BPA choice because of how many positions we need help at, right? Like because we need a new cornerback, we let a bunch go. We let a couple of walk. We need offensive linemen. We got to youthify that offensive line and find offensive line guys that will play well in front of the style of football that Dave Canales has put in for Bryce Young. Got to find defensive linemen, specifically edge rushers, to put outside of D. Brown when he comes back from the injury that ended his season last year. A lot of needs. Got to find a linebacker. A lot of needs for this team. So he said, you're kind of by being in a bad spot, you're in a good spot. By being in a bad spot and having 6 different positions that could all arguably be the biggest need for Carolina, the good news is you're in a spot where, like, a lot of players will fit the BPA model and fill a need. And I think that's interesting. I've talked a lot since the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl that their draft model, their franchise building model, is a model that I am now fully subscribed to. The model of draft linemen, build skill through free agency and trades. Draft linemen and build every other set, skill position set, yada, yada, yada. Build all of that out with trades, with free agency, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Tell me right now, DK Metcalf isn't that guy. Now, again, there's going to be a bunch of free agents that you can't be talking to right now that come available in, 5 days or whatever it's going to be. Devontae Adams is one of those guys. Devontae Adams is a very good pickup. Now, I don't know if you can get Devontae Adams because I suspect Devontae Adams, as he's getting up there in them years, he is 32. He'll be damn near 33 or turning 33 early in the season. And dude was making $28 million a year with the Jets. That's a lot. That's a lot for a 32-year-old wide receiver. But there's some other guys out there too. Stephon Diggs is out there. Amari Cooper is out there. Chris Godwin is scheduled to be a free agent making $20 million a year. DeAndre Hopkins is a free agent in a couple of days. Marquise Hollywood Brown's a free agent. He's only 27 years old. Darius Slayton's out there. There's some guys. Now, once you get down past those guys, the names drop off dramatically. There's some interesting, role player wide receivers. Zay Jones leaving Arizona. Braxton Berrios out of Miami. He's going to be 30, but he's kind of one of those guys that's kind of a utility offensive player. You can have him in the slot. He's a special teams punt return expert. You go a little further down the list, you can build a little depth. Jamison Crowder's down there. Olamide Zacchaeus is down there out of Washington, free agent with 6 years of service and a paycheck of less than $1.3 million. There's depth guys out there. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be a free agent when it's all said and done. Jalen Reagor is going to be a free agent at the break. That guy's making $1.125 million. There's names. MVS is available. MVS showed up in New Orleans and was on a heater there for a hot minute with Derek Carr and Spencer Rattler. But there's really, if you're talking about game-changing wide receivers, there's 5 or 6. If I'm Carolina, I don't want to give away a bunch of draft capital. And that's what kind of makes this something that I'm really excited, but I'm also very hesitant because I don't know what everybody else is going to be in the market for DK Metcalf for. And what's more interesting than that is we are now 36 hours after the acknowledgement that DK Metcalf is available on the trade block. Lonzo, have you heard a word about teams calling Seattle? I'm not saying they're not, but ordinarily by now we've got, the New York Giants and the Las Vegas Raiders and the Chargers and blah, blah, blah. They all call this team. I'm not saying it hadn't happened, but there's not a lot of reporting that DK Metcalf's got a lot of suitors right now.
All I'm seeing are fans going, yeah, you should come to my team.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
For sure. I told Brad last night because Hayden Ass Mario covers the Chargers, and he's like me. He's like, whatever's best for the Chargers is best for business. And guys like us, we're best with what is best for business. Everybody wants Devontae and DK to be a whatever their favorite team is. St. Charger Chief, whatever. So, ordinarily by this point in time, you would hear that teams are making offers, that teams are involved, that teams are putting guys up, up there on the phone with Seattle going, hey, how about this? How about a pick swap and a pick? How about a first rounder? How about a first and a player swap? Not a lot of that. There's a lot of teams that are rumored to be involved. Chargers are one of them. A lot of teams that are rumored to be involved, but we haven't really gotten reports, and we definitely haven't heard anybody making an actual offer yet, which I find very interesting. And I do wonder if DK Metcalf, who, by the way, because I saw this pop up a couple of minutes ago on the text line, DK Metcalf, although it feels like he ain't old. He's 27. Look at the other free agents that are, $15+ million guys. Here are the ages of every free agent making 10 or more a year. 30, 32, 32, 28. And by the way, the 28 is Deontay Johnson. So that ain't going to be it. 31, 29, 30, 32, 31, 32. DK Metcalf's 27. That's not like a 24-year-old wide receiver who's stacked and is him. But compared to guys that are Devontae's 32, Stephon Diggs 31, Keenan Allen 32, Amari Cooper 31, compared to those guys, 27's a pretty big jump down, right? I think you got to be involved. And if for nothing else, if you are Carolina, if for no other reason, I think you get involved just to drive the price up, right? Fine. We're not going to end up with DK Metcalf, and that's fine. But we're going to make sure that whoever is going to pay for him. We're going to make sure that whoever is going to have to come off the hook, not just for a ridiculous salary that DK Metcalf is set to make, which I think he's like right there with Stephon Diggs in terms of salary. Stephon Diggs, AAV, $22.5 million. I think DK's right there in that range too, if I recall off the top of my head. Not only do you have to move off of $22 to $24 million worth of money to go get this cat, but you're going to have to give up a lot in the draft or a very good player to go get this cat. I think you get involved and you hope, and maybe because of the way that he's leaving Seattle, maybe other NFL teams are looking, they're like, the guy's like, there's a little drama, there's a little baggage around him. I don't necessarily want to be connected to that. Like maybe. Or if it's not, if the case is that there are other teams involved, the fact that it has been a day and a half and we're not hearing a lot of activity, drive that price up. Because you still have to be in the wide receiver market. You've still got to find a guy. And since there are only a few of these guys, who would you be like, yeah, that's the guy that makes it better? I'm not even talking about the money. I'm just talking about, I feel I can plug that guy into the Canales offense and succeed. Devontae, yes. Stephon Diggs, like athletically, absolutely. But Stephon Diggs, based on the way he left Buffalo, like it kind of feels to me like if you brought him in and it didn't go his way, maybe you end up in a bad spot. Keenan Allen at 33 years old, nah, probably not. Amari Cooper, like I'd like to think so at not even 31. I'd like to think Amari Cooper could be that ad. But let's be real. He showed up in Buffalo and we were all like, bang, game changer. And the Bills were still good, but between the injury and taking a little longer than I'd like to get it. Remember, it was I think the second week, first game, but second week he was there. There was a play that Josh Allen hit Amari Cooper for a touchdown. But when you went back and you watched the film, Keon Coleman was out on the wing. Amari Cooper was in the slot. He lines up, and then you can see him, like, look out. And then he looks over at Keon Coleman, and Keon literally has to, like, hand signal him his route. He's like, inside cut, 10 yards, whatever. I don't know what he yelled at him, but he clearly was signaling and yelling at him. And then Amari Cooper got open for a touchdown. It's like, I'm not expecting you to have the entire play. You ever seen an NFL playbook? Well, they used to be that thick when they were an actual book. Now they're iPads. But you get the point? My man was there 2.5 weeks, was still having to have plays, routes broken down for him. I might be overthinking it, but I don't know if I trust him. Chris Godwin, 29 years old, absolutely. But I don't think Tampa is going to not match anything that Carolina gets, if for no other reason, not to have to face him in division twice a year. Brandon Cooks, no. Deontay Johnson, hell no. Tyler Lockett, like 5 years ago, yeah. Man's going to be 33 years old when the season starts. I don't know if I'm in that. Nuke, DeAndre, bring a Clemson Tiger onto the roster? Yeah, I'd actually be okay with that. I'd be on board with that. DeAndre Hopkins price tag only $13 million AAV. Salary cap hit probably around 18.
Big drop in the Super Bowl. Just saying.
Big drop in the Super Bowl.
Big drop.
Big catch in the AFC Championship game to get you there, though. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, as the old expression goes.
I'd say one's a little more important than the other. And you can say one, you have to have one to get to the other, but still.
That's fair. Mike Williams, probably not. Robert Woods, no. Hollywood Brown, 28 years old, maybe. Like, there's not a lot of guys in the free agency wide receiver list that I look at and I go, that's a perfect fit. There's only like one or two. DK Metcalf, I do. T Swizzle jump in the chat. He said DK's a diva and a deep threat. Bryce is more of a dink and dime guy. I feel like needs someone who can run our routes and not just to go. Here's my thing with T Swizzle. I don't think Bryce Young's a dink and dunk guy. I think Bryce Young has had to be a dink and dunk guy because Carolina Panthers don't have a deep ball guy. It's dink and dunk because that's all he has to work with, right? If I go down the street to a pizza restaurant, I might be a big steak guy, but I got to get a pizza because that's all that's available right now, man. I think BYU, in fact, not only will I say I think, go back and watch last year. Couple of times that they were able to pop somebody, Bryce Young has scary accuracy down the field. You got to give him time to establish it, and you got to have somebody that can run down there and open the route up. BY can get the ball down the football field and do so very accurately. That's why I'd go get a deep ball guy like DK Metcalf. All right, coming up in the next hour, I got your audio blitz right out of the gate, the best audio we've heard in the last 24 hours, and I'm not going to lie, it's a heck of a roster, so we're probably going to go on for a couple of segments. We'll talk some more college basketball. Yeah, I am going to do a hockey segment, deal with it. All of that and more after Lonzo starts you might need a cigarette after this sports flash.
Yeah. Don't pick up vices, people. I don't think I've ever been to a pizza restaurant. Hi, I'm at the pizza restaurant.
Pizza Hut.
It's a pizzeria. Go away.
That's a pizza restaurant.
It's one and done in the ACC
means?
tournament for the Clemson Tigers women's basketball team, getting dropped by Louisville 70-68. Hannah Cohn led the Tigers with 14, while Maya Moore, Loyal McQueen, and Raven Thompson all added a dozen. Tigers were out-rebounded 41-26 in the loss. South Carolina Gamecocks opened their SEC tournament action today against the Vanderbilt Commodores after the Doors knocked off Tennessee yesterday. That game's at noon at the Well downtown. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. as the Furman Paladins take on the Sanford Bulldogs in the first round of the SoCon basketball tournament. It's Furman versus Sanford right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. The Fan, upstate. It's a pizzeria. Do you guys call it a pizza restaurant? Do you say, I'm going to the pizza restaurant to get pizza? No. You probably don't say pizzeria either. You just say, I'm going to go get some pizza. Pizza parlor, too. That's fine. But it's not a pizza restaurant. Pizzeria, pizza parlor. Never heard it called a pizza restaurant. That's just weird. Also, pizza place. I mean, I got to go to a pizza place. It's not a pizza restaurant. It's like if you're going out for a hamburger, you don't go, I'm going to the hamburger restaurant. You go to a burger joint, right?
Ever forget to eat dinner? I forgot to eat dinner last night.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
I'm gonna get my water while I eat turtles. I need water. That might be the best piece of audio that can play to start off the Audio Blitz.
Cracker.
I was going with Becky Black, but that's pretty good number 2.
You stay classy.
Welcome back to the Cracker Sports Show.
Cracker.
The Rob Brown Show is here on the Fan Upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, and you. 2 more hours of the most electrifying sports talk entertainment you're going to find anywhere on the radio from 6 to 10 a.m. in Greenville, South Carolina. We have a lot of things we got to get to, a lot of things we got to talk about, a lot of stuff to discuss, but it is 8 o'clock in the morning, and this, ladies and gentlemen, this is the spot where we bring you the Audio Blitz. This is the spot where we bring you the best audio we have found from the last couple of days or the last 24 hours or the last whenever the last time we did this was. Jump on this one. I listened to a bunch of audio this morning. That man stealing my white glasses look, Lonzo, and I'm not going to stand for it. The guy in the parking lot. That is my look, bud. Those are my thick white frame glasses. You may not have... that's gimmick infringement is what that is. That man's going into business for himself. That's insulting.
He's also carrying a display box for something, so that may be his uniform.
Oh, listen, those glasses are not uniform. Absolutely not.
He looks like he's going bowling. I mean, he's got the bowling. He's a bowling.
Okay, whatever you say about
guy.
him is what you're saying about me right now.
No, but you don't have the bowling guy build. That guy was Matt Rule.
What you saying?
With your glasses.
Okay, that's fair. All right, Audio Blitz, best audio we've heard over the last 24 hours. I found a bunch of audio this morning of just dudes making me like them more. One of them is kind of interesting. Liam Cohen is the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags getting a lot of play on the show today. He was hired away from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he served as the offensive coordinator after Dave Canales took off. Liam Cohen, of course, showed up in Jacksonville after, going off the radar from the Bucs. Apparently the GM was calling him and texting him, and he just wasn't returning them. We've all been there. You know you're dumped at that point, right? Then Liam Cohen showed up in Jacksonville, and he gave his introductory press conference, and it gave us this moment.
Duval.
Which will live on in
Duval.
history forever. Well, earlier this week, the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the man who openly said
Duval
and thought he nailed it, he did correct it the next day.
He did nail it. He did exactly what he wanted to do, and people just didn't enjoy his joke. He was just joking.
You don't joke with the team's thing on the very first day as the head coach. You embrace it and you do it right. You drop the Duval.
Yeah, because that's worked really well so far. Maybe you bring about change.
Doesn't matter. What matters is how the fan base feels about you. And when you go in there, it doesn't matter if your team sucks. If you go in there and you screw up their thing, it's
so
bad
you're
look.
saying that the fan base is okay with routine and this is what they like. So they don't want anything new, like winning. I mean, okay, fine.
Yes, because we all know that fans, no matter how good or bad their team is, they love having their traditions changed. Tradition, not a big deal in sports. It's the biggest deal in sports.
Stop being a mark.
The very next day, he did go out there and did a one-on-one with one of the reporters from the team, and he actually did nail the Duval the next day. But earlier this week, Liam Cohen, the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, was on Pardon My Take, a Barstool Sports podcast, where they asked him, how did you screw it up that bad on day one?
All right, so enough of the niceties. Let's get to the real business here. Why you're here. Duval. Let's just break it down. So what was going through your head?
No, it's just a cadence, right? I'm a quarterback by nature. I'm using my cadence.
Yeah.
And hey, at the end of the day, you have to adapt to different cadences. That was my cadence at the time. And now, hey, I'm going to learn from these guys and be able to do a better job next time.
Goofy ass answer. I'm in. I like it.
Why is that goofy? It sounded honest to me. You're
because
questioning his integrity.
Because the answer is, the dude's on a goofy ass podcast. That's why it's goofy. Good podcast, but goofy podcast. Because the answer is, I didn't study up and learn how to do it right. I just showed up and went with my gut. And don't get me wrong, as somebody who does that for most everything in my career, I get it.
Why didn't he just say, hey, man, I'm not here to make you happy, to make other people happy. I'm here to win games. When I win games, people ain't going to care how I say that word.
Again, I feel like the emperor of idealism has returned, ladies and gentlemen. Somehow, the emperor of idealism returned. I was not
All right,
not
it was a little
prepared.
loud. I mean, different volume levels, but
I was not prepared. The
Sorry.
answer is
my regalness deserves music.
the emperor of idealism has his tact, and that's appreciated and understood. But we all know when we're talking about sports fandom, ain't nothing normal.
He daggum didn't say Duval right. Burn him.
Correct.
Burn him.
Correct.
Burn him.
Correct. Could you imagine if somebody took over as the head coach of the Florida Gators and they showed up and on press conference day one, he did this as the Gator chomp?
Yeah, people on radio have no idea what you're doing.
I realized I wasn't even doing that on the stream that time. If he
Wow.
did like two fingers chomping together, the Gator fans would be like, yo, what the hell did we just hire? Listen, it's real simple. If I can't trust you to just take 10 seconds to learn how we do our little chants and cheers that are the number one chant cheer of this team, then it's hard for me to trust that you're going to understand how to come in here and get to know our dudes and implement a good offense. That's all there is to it. That's how fans think. Fans don't think rationally and normally. Fans think like fans. That's it. All right, let's do a couple more. I got one that I want to save for last. Oh, food takes. Love a food take. Love a good food take. Bert Kreischer is a comedian. We talked about him because he hung out during the Super Bowl with Jameis Winston and gave us some audio gold. He's also a big fan of Matthew McConaughey. You may remember a couple of months ago, another McConaughey food take made its way onto the show. That McConaughey food take was how to proper cook a steak. And I gave Matthew McConaughey a big old pat on the back. I'm like, this guy nailed it. This guy gets it. This guy understands the right way to prepare a wonderful ribeye, a solid T-bone. And I appreciate that. Well, he was back on the Two Bears, One Pod podcast with Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura. And they addressed a different side of the food world.
You love ketchup.
I love ketchup. I put ketchup on my ketchup.
And I love ketchup. Like, I only eat meatloaf to eat ketchup.
Right. I think I fell in love with ketchup first.
I had to grow to love ketchup. And then once I realized that I could enjoy salt and sweet at the same time. What's the craziest thing you put ketchup on?
What have I not put ketchup on? I mean, scrambled eggs. Great.
Scrambled eggs. They make scrambled eggs. They make scrambled eggs.
Right. And it's where the ketchup is. I love ketchup on a burger, but it's best to dip it. So the ketchup's the first thing to hit the palate. That's good.
I'm never going to eat ketchup and not think about you. Who doesn't like you? I mean, you're like the coolest dude in the world.
And he loves ketchup, man.
My man Matthew McConaughey said, I love ketchup. I put ketchup. He said, what do you put ketchup on? He said, I put ketchup on everything. What haven't I put ketchup on? And it's an interesting take. Because in fact, I literally had this fight with Mario last night. Because I said, something goes together like ketchup and hamburger. And he goes, grow up. Who uses ketchup? Well, I'm glad to say the answer is now me, Bert Kreischer, and Matthew McConaughey. But I also can say.
Not a day goes by, pretty much, that I don't eat ketchup.
Ketchup is not anywhere close to a daily occurrence for me, but.
Well, I mean, I eat a lot of French fries. So
it's fair. I don't.
Yeah. So.
And it's not for lack of desire. It's that if I go to a place that serves French fries, I'm putting on 2.5 pounds at dinner. This is going to sound weird coming from me right now, but everything in moderation. I do enjoy the ketchup on the meatloaf. I do. Well, so do I.
Yeah.
I also, if you don't make good scrambled eggs, ketchup is the savior of a mediocre scrambled egg.
I'm not a ketchup on eggs guy. I mean, if
not
ketchup,
on eggs, scrambled eggs.
Not
like my ham and cheese omelet.
If ketchup ends up on my eggs, I'm not going to throw the eggs away. I'm going to go ahead and eat it, but I'm not going out of my way to put ketchup on my eggs.
If you make proper scrambled eggs, good scrambled eggs, well-seasoned scrambled eggs, it doesn't need ketchup.
You are so judgmental when it comes to food. Everything has to be your way or it's just not right.
No, there's good and there's not good.
Cook things the way you cook them. Eat things you enjoy. Be a little more open-minded.
That's fine, but that's not to say that some things aren't just better than others. If I go home and cook a steak, I cook a mean-ass steak, but I'm not Ruth Chrising a steak.
Why is Liberob so have no open mind when it comes to food?
He does have an open mind. Again,
speaking's hard.
I will eat scrambled eggs and ketchup. I like scrambled eggs and ketchup. But if the scrambled eggs are top-notch, top-tier, 5-star scrambled eggs, they don't need it. It's like putting steak sauce on a steak. If you give me a mediocre-ass steak, yeah, give me some Heinz 57. That's fine. It's a little flavor enhancer. I'm good. But if you cook a chef's kiss steak, it doesn't need anything. The flavor in the steak is what carries the steak.
By the way, I agree with you as far as that goes. I want to.
Oh, so you're a food snob too?
No,
Good.
if I
Good
eat,
to know.
if I eat steak, I don't. You could try to twist it as usual. You're not going to win. But if I eat
You
steak,
busted on me for
I
food
like-
snob, and then you immediately said, I agree with your food snobbiness.
Listen, so I agree with you on one of many takes that I disagree with you on, and then suddenly we're like boys and stuff, and that ain't how that works.
We're boys and stuff.
Cracker.
Word. I don't hate the take. I will say this. I've never.
By the way,
I'm a ketchup on burger guy. I've never dipped it.
You've wanted to destroy Patrick Mahomes because he puts ketchup on steak.
Correct.
And again,
correct. That's awful.
It's a preference, and I'm not going to
It's a
judge
bad
you
preference.
on your preference.
It's a bad preference.
I like eggs on a hamburger, and some people don't like
too.
that. But some people don't.
That's okay.
It grosses them out, the fact that they're going to take a bite of that hamburger and that sunny side up is going to, the yolk's
breakfast
going to
burgers
get
are
everywhere.
untouchable. I make breakfast burgers at the
It
house
don't have
for
to be
breakfast.
a breakfast burger. You can have
An egg on a burger is a breakfast. That's the
not.
name of the food. It is called a breakfast burger.
It is not.
You can eat it at
It
lunch
is
or
not.
dinner.
It is not. Here we go again. Snob.
If you put an egg on a
Snob.
burger, it's a breakfast burger.
Snob.
It doesn't mean it's exclusively for breakfast. It's just the name of that
Well,
burger.
You are implying that eggs are only for breakfast.
No, I'm
so
not.
if you put eggs on
Gonzo,
something,
the name of the burger
no,
is
no,
breakfast
no,
burger.
by the
I'm
way,
not saying only
I
eat
will
it in the morning.
say I have never eaten a breakfast burger.
Yes, you have. If you've had it in a burger, you've had a
Nope.
breakfast burger.
No,
You may
no.
not have had it at breakfast.
They all have different names. None of them say breakfast burger. You want to roll down the road to Bad Daddy's, and I forget the name of the burger. It might be the Sam I Am. Doesn't say breakfast burger on it, but it's got an egg on it.
Then they have changed the name of the burger.
They have not. They have not. That's just the name of the burger.
Dumbest fight we've ever had. I'm still
it's
standing on
not the
business.
dumbest fight we've ever had.
George Kittle was on Rich Eisen's show, and Rich Eisen had the Lombardi Trophy there. George Kittle came out, and he actually sat 2 chairs down from the Lombardi Trophy on the other side of the stage.
Hey, George, let's just be honest, though. I don't think this is you concerned that I'm going to actually physically assault you because your dog, assaulted the pillow, my face on it. Do you not want to be close to this trophy?
I will when I earn it.
So you legitimately took a seat over because the Vince Lombardi Trophy is next.
There were 3 things that went into my decision to sit here.
Yes.
One,
Yes.
the first thing was I figured that no one had sat in this chair yet.
You'd be correct.
Bert did sit there. Jaden Daniels is also here.
Bert Kreischer is
There
the other
was not a
individual who
space.
sat in the seat.
I thought I could smell him.
He
has an odor. I thought I could.
Yeah, that's correct.
Number 2 was I didn't want you to hit me for the pee.
Yeah.
And 3 was I'll be close to that when I've earned it.
You really feel that way?
I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I'm weird sometimes, man. Don't judge me for it.
I'm not judging. I think it's kind of cool, though.
George Kittle would not sit next to the Lombardi, said, I haven't earned it. He also said that apparently his dog had some interaction with Rich Eisen, which was weird. He said it was because of the pee. I don't know what that means.
See, what I heard in the whole thing is he wanted to sit in a chair no one else has sat in, and here's the reason why. Because no one wants to follow someone else in a hot chair. That's just no. I have a rule with the producers around here, and they understand that I don't sit in a hot seat, okay? I don't do that. I need a fresh, cool seat. I will not sit in a seat after someone else has sat in it.
That's part
I don't need your butt warmth, okay? I don't.
That's part of the reason that if I got to poop at work, I go home. I leave. I'm like, nope. I will take a half day and go home for this, for that exact reason. Just a very different seat. All right, let's keep going. I got a few more I want to get to. Let's go with this one. Aaron Torres covers college basketball. Very popular, very well-known, very renowned in the college basketball landscape. And he made a point about Cooper Flagg. There's a rumor going around that Cooper Flagg may come back and play another year for Duke. And there's a couple of reasons why. One of them is the fact that Cooper Flagg is estimated to be making around $8 million in NIL money, a large chunk of that coming from New Balance, who make Cooper Flagg shoes for him to play in. They're giving him a lot of money. He's got a bunch of other NIL deals as well. $8 million which he'd make more in the NBA because he's a first overall lottery pick. But also because he's probably going to go to like Washington, who are never going to be good at anything. Aaron Torres had an interesting take on how NIL might actually make college basketball better.
The idea that Cooper Flagg wants to return to college basketball for another year, it's not surprising. I believe that there will be a player of Cooper Flagg's ability that is going to say no to the NBA and is going to say yes to returning to college basketball. Cooper Flagg's probably making $6, $7, $8 million a year playing college basketball this year. It sounds crazy. We know the top college basketball players this past portal cycle were getting $2+ million. New Balance signed Cooper Flagg. You think he's wearing New Balances for free? This is where I believe the player of Cooper Flagg's abilities is going to come back. I don't think it's going to be the schools that force this kid back. I think it's going to be the shoe companies, okay? Because shoe companies now can sign NIL deals with these kids. You want the marketability opportunities to be at their peak, right? If you were Nike and you want to get the bang for your buck for whoever you think is the next big thing, is there more marketability with Cooper Flagg playing for a Duke team that's on national TV every night? Or is he more marketable for you with the Washington Wizards?
It's a good take. It's a good take. It's an interesting take. I agree with it, too. If I am a brand representative for Nike, for Adidas, for Puma, for New Balance, for whoever, and I got an opportunity to put the shoes onto the feet of a Cooper Flagg, of a Janai Broom, et cetera, is it better for me to put my shoes on that cat when he's playing for the Washington Wizards, who are going to, I don't know, win what, 40 games? Maybe 30 games when he joins that roster? And are going to be on national television like 6 times at the beginning of the year and then not again because they're going to stink? Or would it be better to put him on the feet of him when he is at Duke? When he's on national television once or twice a week? When he's playing as a 1 seed in the March Madness tournament, America's second most watched sporting event? I think it's a great take. My question mark for y'all is going to be all the talk about how NIL's running college sports. Does this not make college basketball better? If it gets to a point where shoe companies are talking top lottery picks into staying in school for an extra year, maybe 2, I kind of feel like it does. All right, I got some more when we come back. Rob Lonzo and you, we're big breakfast burgers guy here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Chicken fingers are dipped in egg, then breaded. Does that make them breakfast fingers? First off, they're dipped in an egg wash, which is the culinary definition of what you're doing to then bread your chicken, to then deep fry your chicken. Again, I deep fry food at my house all the time.
Egg wash?
Egg wash.
Egg wash. Okay, so
Wash.
that's not made out of egg.
Or if you're up in Pickens, egg wash.
Okay, so egg wash is not made out of eggs?
It is made out of egg.
Okay.
But it is an
all right.
egg wash that is different than dipping it in egg.
No, it's still dipped in egg, dude.
It is dipped in egg, but it is dipped in an egg wash.
Come on.
You can change when you
Are
change.
you serious right now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
When you change a thing, even though it is still made of the thing, it is a different thing. When you eat a cake, do you go, I'm going to eat this flour, baking soda, wheat, barley, milk, and egg? No, it's a cake now. All those things make it, but it's a cake. Damn, that was a real good one right there. Nailed that.
So you just said that his chicken fingers are made with egg.
They are dipped in an egg wash. Right. That is correct.
Right, so they're made of egg.
They're not. Well, the chicken's made of chicken. They are coated in egg, as in given an egg wash.
You got to commend him, Steven. Even when he loses, he won't admit that he lost.
I haven't lost a damn thing.
You definitely lost.
Okay, well, the next time you have a birthday, I hope you enjoy your eggs, flour, wheat dish. Because that's what makes it.
What you're doing.
So that's what it still is.
It doesn't work.
It does work.
It does not.
How does it not work?
It just doesn't work.
A thing is made of what it is, but it's called by a different name. That's how things work.
Things someone on crack would say.
Okay, that's dramatic.
I don't, it just, because you're not saying anything different than what we're saying. Egg wash, whatever the heck that is still made out of egg.
Correct.
So you're dipping your chicken in egg, which by your logic makes it breakfast nuggets. Or nuggies, depending on who you are. It's quiet because he's eating. That's the only reason why it's quiet.
Correct.
Yeah. He's formulating his attack right now.
I forgot to eat dinner last night, and it started getting to the point that the hunger pains were turning off the brain. That needs to be corrected.
Here's the thing, William, and I think some people forget this. When you're an adult, you can eat cake anytime you want. You can say, "This is my breakfast cake. This is my lunch cake. This is my supper cake."
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to deal with some judgment, but who cares?
That's the best part of being an adult. The wife and I bought a key lime pie the other day to eat for breakfast the next day. We didn't have a wedding cake. We had wedding key lime pie. It's our favorite thing. So I went and bought us a key lime pie. And we woke up the next day, and that's what we had for breakfast before we went out. And it was delicious. Thank you, William. That's a breakfast burger.
It's not considered a breakfast.
It is. It is
all right.
literally called a breakfast burger.
Who declared it a breakfast burger?
Breakfast burger. See what comes
I
up.
don't need to Google
Yes,
breakfast
you do.
burger. You tell me, as the arbiter, if you will, of what things are breakfast, who created the breakfast burger and said this is the breakfast? You do. You absolutely do. You need to know the origin.
Who named your car or what they named it? You don't know? Well, then I can just call it car and nothing else.
Mr.
It has a name.
Mr. Chevrolet.
Mr. Chevy. William said I did have a king cake every morning this week. Bruddy, I have had 2 king cakes shipped from New Orleans to my house, and neither one of them has made it more than 3 days. I feel you, dog. Breakfast king cake is untouchable, William. Untouchable. Could not agree with you more on that.
By the way, Bad Daddy's, the Sam Mayan burger, American cheese, over easy fried egg, applewood smoked bacon, and pesto. Not labeled as a breakfast burger, which would be really kind of hard for it to be a breakfast burger since they're not open till lunch. It doesn't say anything about a breakfast burger. I can go to every restaurant that serves a burger with egg on it, and it is not labeled as a breakfast burger. You're wrong.
Every restaurant.
You're wrong.
Yes, because different people name dishes different
You
things.
are wrong.
No. Breakfast burger doesn't mean you eat it for breakfast. That's just the name.
It's about
of
to
the
have to
burger.
razor blade the picture because it's over.
Rolling on with the audio evidence, the best audio we have found since the last time we did the audio blitz. Chris Ballard is the GM of the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts were disappointing last year. I think we all agree with that. There's still question marks about Anthony Richardson. Did you just draft a big, strong, athletic guy and forget that quarterbacks need to be able to throw the football, or have you failed in creating a world in which Anthony Richardson can develop? I'm going to keep it a buck with you.
Wait.
I don't know.
Because I seem to remember all the hype the first couple games that he played before he got hurt. There was major hype.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember people saying, well, he can't throw.
There were certainly critics, but I think the appeal of Anthony Richardson was that he was built like a bigger, stronger, faster Lamar Jackson. This was always going to be a situation where the Indianapolis Colts went and got themselves a multi-dimensional running quarterback. Chris Ballard sat down at the Combine and was doing an interview with our Odyssey sister station in Indianapolis, and they asked him a question. I don't care about the answer. I want you to listen to how Chris starts this answer and tell me if you're a Colts fan, you're thrilled about him still sitting at the controls.
Let's go there. Well, why do you feel like you are getting a 9th year?
Look, it's a fair question when did I think y'all know me well enough that I'm pretty honest.
Who was that? Was it a baseball player or what did that?
I don't.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know. I don't know if I don't quite know how to answer that.
Let's go there. Well, why do you feel like you are getting a ninth year?
Look, it's a fair question one that I think y'all know me well enough that I'm pretty honest.
Same energy, bro. Same vibe, bro. Hey, man, why do you think she's gonna? I don't know.
There's a Saturday Night Live skit with that. I think it was on Weekend Update where the guy would do that all the time.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. That's it.
We've all been in a place, even you, Rob Brown, where you couldn't think of how to answer something and maybe stammered a little bit. But if he stammered with energy, I mean, it would be like he was so excited to answer the question, he was having trouble putting it into words. That was a how do I get out of this answer.
That was I don't deserve a ninth year, but here I am anyway. What do you want me to say?
Which is, dude, can you believe they paid me for this again?
Yeah. That was you know it. I know it. They know it. The only guy who doesn't know it is the guy who signs the paycheck, and I'm not about to stop taking that paycheck. So, I don't know. I
don't quite know how to answer that, to be honest.
Spectacular. Thank you, Chris Ballard, for what I'm not going to say it's my favorite audio of the day, but it's way super up there. Jared Allen, Minnesota Viking edge rusher, retired, been out of the game. He's a character. He's a dude. Well, yesterday, I don't know why, but was at a podium answering questions about something. I'm sure it was like a publicity event or something, but retired Jared Allen might be fun.
I'd rather be close than freaking who sucks, the Jets? Oh, gosh. Being a Jets would be miserable right now. I just can't believe anybody took that job. Rough one. So you get to say this stuff when you're retired. You can say whatever you want. It's awesome. Talk bad about all the organizations because they don't pay paychecks. It's awesome. That's good for me.
Jared Allen. Ordinarily, the phrase is, the Jets caught a stray. The Jets didn't catch a stray. Jared Allen lined up the sniper scope and hit him from 100 yards. The Jets didn't catch a stray. That was intentional fire by Jared Allen. And then my man just says, when you're retired, you can say whatever you want. This is awesome. I got to tell you, retired Jared Allen might be kind of fun. I'm all in. Hey, here's a fun question for you. I'll play you the clip, then I'll ask you the question. Dominique Foxworth was on Get Up with Greenberg yesterday.
Well, first of all, my grandma told me that Hennessy tastes like pound cake. I don't have nothing to do with what's going on, but I feel like we all have to talk about what our grandmas told us at some point in this show. I don't know what your grandma told you, Greenie, but mine told me Hennessy tastes like pound cake, and she was lying.
Hennessy definitely doesn't taste like pound cake, Mama Foxworth. What's the most, I may ask, this may be the last hour topic. This is not the type of radio Rob Brown does. I'm not against it. I'm just not in the zone. I may have to just because I'm very intrigued by this one. So,
with all your texts today, you're right. You're not in the zone.
I'm perfectly in the zone, and I've said nothing wrong. What's the most egregious lie? White lie, little fib, or over the top, you're never going to believe this but lie that your family has told you? Is there one that comes to mind? Like my grandma was always big on, and still is, to my 40-year-old ass, I'm cold, so you need to put on a jacket so that you don't catch a cold. And I understand that one. Like that one's kind of a long-running thing. That's not how you get a cold. That's not, a cold is a virus. You do not get a cold by being cold. That's not how it works. But I didn't learn that until I was pretty much in college, because grandma told me that all the time. If she's cold, put on a jacket so you don't get a cold. It was wild. Does anybody have?
Was there voodoo involved there or something?
No, that's it. That's in that realm of old wives' tales. That, put on a jacket, you'll catch a cold. No, you won't. It's not. Now you catch pneumonia.
Old wives' tales, much like cliches, have a hint of truth in them.
You don't get a cold from getting a cold. You catch a cold. A cold is a virus. That is just a fact. a true reality. Now, you can catch a pneumonia from being cold. You can catch frostbite, obviously, from being cold. But the common cold...
Don't catch a cold from being cold.
Correct.
It's the virus.
Correct. How is that a nerd? Because I know elementary level things? What a loser.
You were probably 7 saying that to your grandma, and she probably smacked you.
Yes, I was, because it was correct.
You're wrong, Grandma.
Yes, and this may shock you. She was. A cold is a virus. That's not like up for debate. That's a fact.
Your grandma was absolutely right.
No, she wasn't.
You should listen to your grandma.
I love Geraldine Brown more than most everyone else on planet Earth. She's my favorite people. She is. I love Geraldine Brown. But she was wrong. You don't catch a cold by being cold. It's a virus. That's just a scientific fact.
You don't tell them that they're wrong.
No, you do when they're wrong. In fact, quite the opposite. I tell you you're wrong more when I love you.
Oh.
Yes, exactly. What's the most egregious lie that somebody in your family has told you? Because that's way up. That's interesting. Hennessy tastes like pound cake.
See, I don't know. I mean, I can't think of anything that they told me that I'm not going to be disparaging to my family. So, I mean, as far as intelligence levels, and you may go, are you one of the smartest people of them? Yeah, well, that says a lot for them. I would never say something like that. So, anyway.
I'll bail him out. Peyton Pritchard is a shooting guard for the Boston Celtics. 2 games ago, the Boston Celtics had 2 players score 40 points for the first time in franchise history. All those great Celtics teams, it was the first time in Boston history that 2 teammates both scored 40 points in a game. They were scored by Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard's a white guy. Derek White's last name is White. They're the new exciting whites. We got exciting whites popping up everywhere.
Cracker.
Anyway, after the game was over, Peyton Pritchard had it pointed out to him that he was just a couple of 3-pointers away from setting the franchise record for the most 3-pointers in a single game in Boston Celtics history. And he was asked, yo, dog, how come you didn't try to go get it?
You know, you entered the fourth quarter with 10 threes. You were 1 short of Smart's record for the franchise record. You took 1 3 in the fourth quarter. You kept passing up a lot of looks you could have forced to drive and kick and stuff like that. Why do you not gun for, like, those records to get the 50 burger, stuff like that?
I didn't even know I had 10 threes at the moment. But I wouldn't have gunned for it anyways, because then it just sets a new standard. So I got something to eventually go for, and hopefully I'll break one day. But the biggest thing was just about getting the W, and they made a little push, so I wasn't going to force a look that wasn't there. I feel like that's disrespectful to the game, disrespectful to my teammates. But if I got in the flow and took a shot that was a good shot for us and broke it that way, then that's the right way to break it.
Boston's winning the NBA title.
Wait. So he said he doesn't want to break the record because then he has something to shoot for. But
No.
if you have something to shoot for, then you're trying to break
No.
the record.
What he said-
I'm confused.
What he said was, because the question was, you had some looks that you could have forced up a 3. Why didn't you do it to try to go get the record? They were up at that point by like a lot. When I get
Thank you for explaining the question.
And I'm setting up the question for the response, because what he did not say was, I don't want to break the record, blah, 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 blah. What he said was, I'm not going to force myself to go break the record because it sets a new standard that this team does not apply to itself, which is personal glory. And I believe that after watching the Celtics play. He said, look, if I get it, I get it. That's great. But I'm not going to go out there and force up 3s to put my name on a record book, because then that changes the standard we have for this team. The standard of the team is no personal glory, which you can tell the way Jason Tatum is like avoiding being the face of the league at this point. I believe that. Derek White's having a career season despite a career season last year. Not hearing him out there in the news. My man said, I'm not going to go out there and force myself into the record book because that's not what this team is doing. Joe Mazzulla's the best coach in the NBA. Not just the funniest, but the best. Because I got dudes on this team that feel and think like that. And I believe him, by the way. Like, he in that press conference, he had laser eyes on that answer. I like this team. Boston is winning the NBA title this year. I don't think anybody's got the mentality to beat them. All right, got a few more clips for you. I'll play them when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. And our damn internet is out again. Cool. U.S. offers $10 million reward for arrest of ex-Olympic snowboarder wanted for allegedly orchestrating murders related to drug ring. That's an ad-lib.
Okay.
You get it.
I do. My picture's on the side of the building. Yours isn't.
Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and ew. Rolling through the third hour of the show. We got some more college basketball discussion coming up for you here in just a few minutes from now, but we are currently rolling through an extended version of the audio blitz, mainly because I'm going to, I got a bunch of clips I haven't played yet, and I'm going to delete all of them at the end of the show, so I want to get them out of the way, and there's also some really funny ones.
It's very efficient of you. Way to go.
That's what I'm going for here. All right, let's, I've been excited about this one for a while. I appreciate, I enjoy when world-class athletes, household name caliber athletes, are humanized to some degree. You know, when you get into this business, one of the things you get told by a lot of people is, yeah, you got to talk X's and O's, you got to talk stats and numbers.
So you mean not knocked down a peg, you mean brought to the same level where you go, oh, that's a real guy.
When they say or do something that you go, hey, me too, bro. It's relatable. Like when my man Siwoo Kim says, I knocked down 3 Red Bulls at noon and then follow it with a Tylenol PM chaser, and that's how I regulate. I'm like, been there, done that. Gotcha, dog. Like when...
Sarcasm. Rob has never done that, nor would he ever.
Definitely not. I'm a Celsius guy now. When athletes are just people, they're just dudes. Dale Earnhardt Jr., I would say, despite the fact that he hasn't been a full-time NASCAR driver in a very long time, is still probably the most recognizable name in racing. Now you can say it's because of his daddy, and that might be true. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was a pretty damn good race car driver in his own right. We all know that.
We get Nepo stories.
He did win a lot of races as a very good driver. Anyway, Dale Earnhardt Jr. now hosts a podcast, and occasionally his wife, Amy, will join him on the podcast. Well, Amy joined him on a recent episode of the Dale Earnhardt Jr. podcast because she needed to dress down her husband for a story that he was prepared to tell.
So we're watching whatever we're watching on TV, and Dale goes, I actually farted in the Oval Office once. I'm like, of course you did. When did you do that? When he was there meeting Barack Obama. And he's like, I just couldn't hold it. I was like, you probably could have.
They were letting us walk around in the room, and I walked around behind the desk and was just standing there, and I was like, I got a little fart here.
I just feel so relaxed.
I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it right here. It did not, stink up the room. I mean, I didn't create a scene or anything.
Maybe it did, maybe it didn't.
I mean, if somebody smelled it, fine, whatever.
You're special.
Sometimes you're in these spaces that are just, famous spaces. And
if I had the opportunity to be in a famous space, farting is not my
well,
go-to.
if you had a fart came to you, it ain't like I was sitting there going, damn, I want to fart in here.
What a gift.
It was just like
my body wants to fart right now when I'm in the Oval Office. Hell yes.
Where was I supposed to go?
Clench your butt. Hold it.
Clench my butt and hold it. No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, the immediate reaction is, how do we get this out?
No. Hello, where's the restroom? I need to get out of here. Not... Looks like a good place for me to fart. I'm just going to let it rip.
The chance of me getting to the restroom before it comes out is pretty low. That's what I do.
If I lose my job today because of that, I mean, it was very uncomfortable. I don't know why that word needed to be used. The word just really bothers me.
There's a short list of words that I'm on the fence about, right? I'm like, yeah, I'll say these words. They don't bother me, but I won't necessarily say them on the air, or I won't say them on the air with Lonzo because I know that it puts him in a precarious situation. Fart's not one. Fart's just a word. It's not a bad word. It's not a cuss word. It's just a word. However, I think a lot of us, perhaps most of us, and I try not to frequently use the word all of us, but I think perhaps all of us have been in a similar situation. Now, maybe it wasn't standing behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office of the White House.
The fact that he walked around the desk to do it, find a corner or something.
I don't think he walked around the Resolute desk in the Oval Office of the White House specifically.
Was he in there with other drivers?
I don't know.
Because you walk by another driver and do it discreetly in a way that makes it look like they did it. I mean, you know.
I have not yet had the opportunity, I will be doing so today, to go listen to the full story be told by Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I thought you were going to try it out at the well.
Well, here's the reason I like this story. Because if you're telling me you've never been in a high-pressure situation, maybe in a place, maybe not quite as prestigious as behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, waiting to meet the President of the United States of America, but you've been in a meeting before with a boss who has the power to make you not work anymore. You've been standing, up on the altar at a wedding, or you've been at a very nice dinner that may or may not have an impact on you and your family's future. All of us have been in a situation that's a high pressure situation, a very important situation, and gone, uh-oh.
I can say that here, because I've been here a really long time, over 25 years. Our current bosses, if I had to pass gas, I would say, hey, Steve, I got to walk out the room. I had burritos last night. And I think Steve would laugh about it and would be grateful that I walked out of the room. There are other big bosses that we've had here. I would not have said a word. I would have found a way to inch toward as far back as I possibly could to let things go and hope, please, God, let it be silent. But I think we work in a place where we could go, hey, I mean, we don't have to be secret about it. I'm going to step out in the hallway or I'm going to clear this room. The Oval Office, probably not a place you could say that, though.
I think all of us have
Do
been.
you feel comfortable with everyone around here that you could do that? Or would you just let it go?
I think like with most things in life, there are definitely groups of people.
If you were standing next to Cole and you did it, then you could blame it on Cole, which would be hilarious.
If I was standing next to Cole and I did it, I would just simply turn and watch Cole and wait for the reaction, because that is the best part of that particular body function. The best part is, there's two best parts. Number one is, let's be real, we've all cut the cheese in a way that you get done and you're like, oh, I feel better. Just I feel like as a person, I feel better. The second best thing about that bodily function is when you look at your husband or your wife, and don't say, ladies, that you don't find joy in this because I've dated enough of you and I'm married to one of you now. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You women are just as gross as us. The difference is we take pride in it. All right? You guys do it to us at the house, and then you go out in public and go, honey, no, I don't. Yes, you do. Quit lying. All right? Quit lying. You're not better than us. My wife loves nothing more. She will crop dust me.
Really?
I'll call her out.
Do that?
I'll call her
dude.
out. I'll call her out. She will crop dust me while I'm sitting on the couch trying to watch TV and laugh her ass off on the way back to the hallway when she hears me go, oh! It happens. All right? It happens. I'll call her out. I'll sleep on the couch tonight if that's what's got to happen. All right? Y'all are better than us. We're all humans, and it's funny. We've all been in that high-pressure situation. I got to tell you, I was a youngster at the time, but I've been to the White House. I've been in the Oval Office.
Wow.
I wasn't there to meet the President of the United States. I was just there on a nice little tour, and we happened to be there on a real good day where the President of the United States happened to be on some diplomatic mission or something, and so the Oval Office was vacant. And that day, we just got lucky, and they said, actually, the Oval Office is part of the tour today.
What president was it?
Bill Clinton was in office at the time. He was off doing something. We got a chance to go into the Oval Office.
Something's a good word.
And when we got into the Oval Office, even as a youngster, I was probably like 8, 9 at the time, like the understanding of the significance of the room in which I stood, even upon me, knee-high to a grasshopper, was not lost upon me. And when you're in a high-pressure situation like that, I didn't have to perform. I wasn't there to ask for something or campaign or lobby or whatever. I was just there as some little kid getting a chance to see a room that the overwhelming majority of Americans will never have the privilege of stepping foot in. And I was tensed up as a kid. I remember it very, very well.
So now you got me picturing every president that's ever been in there, letting go. And
Every one of them's farted in the Oval Office.
Hey, going, hey, Bobby, how was that one?
Dating back.
Good one, sir.
To the reconstruction of the new White House after the Brits burned it to the ground in the War of 1812, because they kind of beat our asses a little bit up in the north in that portion of the war. After we rebuilt it, every president from the War of 1812 on that lived in the Oval Office, that lived in the White House and spent time in the Oval Office, every one of them has cut the cheese, has spilt the mustard, whatever euphemism, has farted. Okay, every single one of them's done it. To have Dale, because that's the thing. That's their office, all right? I'm going to tell you right now. Again, I ain't too proud. I've been, especially since I've started standing up to do the show, I've had to let a couple rip while I'm over here on the air. And I just go, I really hope the air conditioning blows it that way because Lonzo will call me out.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and I have called you out.
Yeah.
Because this is a new occurrence.
It
Out of all the time we've been working here, I haven't had to deal with this, but lately I have.
When I was seated,
it's like being smacked in the face.
When I was doing the show sitting down, obviously I'm seated. I'm sealed up a little bit, and so therefore I can kind of keep the contamination relegated and leave the room when it's time. But now that I'm standing, it's like, sometimes you just, you shift, you wiggle the wrong way, one just kind of squeaks out, which is what I assume happened to Dale Jr. in the White House. I love this clip for 2 seconds. Number one, because it is the most relatable that Dale Jr.'s ever been. Remember, this is a guy that we played a clip 2 weeks ago of his dad, Dale Sr., busting up a beer drinking party before he was legal to drink. The difference between that and I is, although my dad absolutely busted up a party or two in my youngster years, my dad didn't do it by flying a damn helicopter over my mansion. He just showed up in his Suburban and said, hey, you little friends, y'all having a good time? All right? This is relatable. This is bringing Dale Jr. down to me because I've been in that spot before. I've been in a spot where I'm standing across from NFL owners and head coaches or MVPs or Hall of Famers or guys that might give me my next job or have the power to remove me from the one I'm currently in. I've been around it. I've been in that high-pressure situation, and I'd be lying to tell you there hadn't been a couple of times where I wasn't fighting for my life, or as Amy said, clench your butt together. Clench my butt together. Yeah, clench your butt. We've all fought for our lives where you put the hands on the hips like this right here, and then you work that gluteus maximus, and you just pray that sensation goes away before something bad happens.
It's got to be more difficult for skinny people, I think.
Oh no, they might have a little bit more.
You think muscle?
Little muscle tone in the booty.
You think?
Yeah,
so?
because the clench is all muscle, right? Like you can't clench a butt with a fat butt.
Well, if your butt's really fat.
I don't have I used to have.
You could just turn sideways a little bit.
I used to have a big butt, and I cannot lie. I checked in this morning at 220.2. Closest I've been to the wedding weight in a while. And I'll tell you that I'm back to the point where my wife's like, hey, you got a soggy bottom, boy. You got a pancake butt. And I ain't done squats in a long time. And I got to tell you, while I have not had a situation recently where I've been in that particular struggle like Dale Jr., I'm doing it right now, not because I got to rip one, but just because I'm like, we're talking about it. Let me see if I can do it. I've been trying to keep them clenched since we started talking about the clench. I'm out of gas. Metaphorically, not literally.
Good, because don't you dare do something and leave the room.
My man said, what did you want me to do? I was walking around the Oval Office. It snuck up on me. I wasn't making it out of the room, so I did my best to get away from everybody. It's just that everybody happened to be on the regular side of the Resolute desk, and I was on the opposite side of it, but, had to go. The only other thing I love more about that clip is listening to Dale's wife, because I've heard that before. I feel you, Dale Jr. I really do. I respect that. Now I feel like I got to get Dale Jr. on this show, but that's just all we're going to talk about. I'm going to get Dale on this show. We'll be like, hey, NASCAR's good, right? Yeah, Rob really like NASCAR. Awesome. Talk to me about the Oval Office. And then it's just going to be 15 minutes of that because that's maybe, I'm going to say definitively on my Mount Rushmore of audio clips I've ever played on this show. Top four all time. Now let's see if Lonzo can make a Mount Rushmore effort on this Sports Flash.
You better not do something. You better not.
I got to step outside.
It's one and done in the ACC tournament for the Clemson Tigers women's basketball team. You know I'm stuck in here doing this. Getting dropped by Louisville 70-68. Hannah Cohn led the Tigers with 14, while Maya Moore, Loyal McQueen, and Raven Thompson all added a dozen. The Tigers were out-rebounded 41-26 in the loss. The South Carolina Gamecocks opened their SEC tournament action today against the Vanderbilt Commodores after the Doors knocked off Tennessee yesterday, 84-76. Michaela Blakes led all scores with 24, while Iana Moore added 23. Camille Pierre had 16 with 15 boards. The Commodores and the Gamecocks will tip off at noon at the Well downtown. Tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. as Furman Paladins take on the Sanford Bulldogs in the first round of the SoCon basketball tournament. It's Furman versus Sanford right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. The Fan, Upstate. There really are some things where I go, okay, did we just talk about that on the radio? All right. So when if Cody's going to be on SmackDown?
I did see that
With his damaged orbital bone, thanks to
they slapped the
Scott.
crap out of him. They I also wonder, is that a work just so they can keep Travis Scott engaged in the whole thing? Right?
I think it's a work.
I do too.
He did
hit the crap out.
Yeah, he did.
They did announce or put on their website yesterday that they've booked Cena for the 3 SmackDowns after WrestleMania, but not before that. So I'm kind of interested.
Are we going to see the perks of him selling his soul? I mean, what possibly could they do?
The final hour of the Rob Brown Show today. The final hour of the Rob Brown Show this week starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown, the great Alonzo, on the ones and the twos. I asked the question in the last hour, that I will propose for your My Hour entertainment this hour of the show. What's the most egregious lie that your family told you? What's the most egregious lie that you found out after you became a young adult, a teenager, a grown-ass man or woman? The most egregious lie you found out that your family told you when you were a youth. And I'm not talking about the first one that many of you think of, you terrible people. I'm talking about like a family secret that got hidden away for a long time. I'm talking about something that, a mom or a dad or an uncle or something. And do me a favor, you know what can and can't be said on the radio.
See, I was told a lot of things. Do I go back and go, okay, let me go through history books and find out if this is true? Like my grandma said she used to date one of the Hatfields from the Hatfields and McCoys, which they lived in Kentucky at the time. That big feud, it's famous, a lot of people know about. Do I have to go look and see, okay, my grandma's this age, the Hatfields. No, my grandma told me she did, so I believe it. She also had a picture of my great-great-great-great-grandfather, who was the last man to be hung in Pike County, Kentucky for stealing a horse. And just in her living room with that written on the bottom of it. Should I question? Should I go back and find out, was he actually the last one? I don't know if she's proud about it, but it was hanging in her living room.
You know, I put that onto the list of if my parents, grandparents, whatever, like genuinely believed it was true and told it to me, because they believed it was true. That's not a lie. They're passing on incorrect information. To me, a lie.
But would you go look it up to validate?
I have before, actually. I was told when I was a youngster that I was distantly related to a long ago former president of the United States. Which then myself and a cousin of mine who lives in Texas, we got very curious about it. And by we, I mean she, decided to actually put together like a...
Was it Millard Fillmore?
It was not. It was Andrew Jackson, actually.
Okay.
Old Hickory. So that had been passed down for a very long time in my family, that we had a separated, but a relation to Andrew Jackson from back in the day. And one of my cousins... did the whole like big time family tree thing, right? Like she was digging through like research records from Andrew Jackson's days, like hospital records that you had to not just know how to read and write cursive, but you had to know how to do it back like Constitution writing style. And she did all the research, and it turned out that was if it's true, we were unable to find any documentation of it. We did find out there were some other interesting, not like nationally notable, but like regionally notable people that were in our family tree from back in New Orleans. The first one of them is like the first Irish fire captain in New Orleans, a guy who is largely responsible for a lot of the positive history of the NOFD. I've got a relation to him long term. Yeah, like it's a lot of stuff that it's real interesting to you. If you're a part of that family tree.
But the thing like that, that's a thing you don't go research because, oh yeah, that's positive. I'm just going to go ahead and take that. But are you more apt to research the stuff that's negative just to maybe disprove it?
See, I am. I have that approach to both things, right? Like, I could have gone the rest of my life being like, yo, I'm distantly related to Old Hickory, the winner of the Battle of New Orleans. Like, I'm an Andrew Jackson descendant. But the reality is, I wanted to know if that was true or not. Whether it's good, bad, positive, negative, I wanted to know if that was true or not. So we did the research on it. And again, I didn't know all these other stories. And to me,
she didn't exhume them to see if you guys had matching DNA.
Well, I don't know that it would show up.
I don't either. But
what I do know is that we found a couple of other, like I said, more regionally notable people in our family tree down the line. And to me, That's far more interesting. It'd be interesting to be a descendant of a president or whatever. But to me, to find out that like my family is partially responsible for the beginnings of the New Orleans Fire Department in a city which has dealt with fires for a very long time. And I still, in fact, a dear cousin of mine, John B. Ellis, he is still a captain with the NOFD. My family is still involved in that. Like, I think that's more interesting. So the question is, what's the most egregious lie or the funniest silly little lie that you got told when you were growing up? Our boy Dominique Foxworth said his grandmama told him that Hennessy tastes like pound cake. I don't know why she'd say that. My dad, when I was growing up, and I got to be to that like 13, 14, 15, feeling my oats vibes, you know? And I was like, Dad, I think I'm ready for my first beer. My old man was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And I don't remember specifically what he told me, but he basically told me that it tasted like something awful. And I'm like, no, you drink beer. I'm going to drink beer. I'm a man. I'm good. And he goes, okay. Core memory. Sat me down at a table for dinner. He and my mom one night, they cracked open a beer. It was a... was my granddaddy was drinking Old Milwaukee. Was it Old Milwaukee? Which, in retrospect, like if you want somebody not to drink beer, make their first beer in Old Milwaukee. And they like set it down on the table, and they're like, "All right, here's the deal: if we crack it and you start it, you're gonna finish it. You understand that? We're not wasting a beer. If we crack it and you start it, you are gonna." I sat there and hated every second of that brewski. It was awful. This is 100% true. I did not touch another beer until I was in college. That was like 13, 14, somewhere in that ballpark. I did not touch another beer until I was in college because of how bad that experience was. It's kind of like when parents catch you smoking, they're like, cool, finish the pack right now. Do not stand up again until you finish the pack. It was that, but a beer. So what's the either most egregious or the funniest lie that your parents told you, whether it's to keep you from knowing something or to kind of try to help you, learn a life lesson down the line? I'm curious. All right, let's get some more stuff in here as the show rolls on. Got about 52 minutes until we get to the end of the radio broadcast. If you want to get in, now is your opportunity. I addressed it earlier. I'll address it again now. We are less than 3 hours away from the beginning of round number 3 of the Southeastern Conference Women's Basketball Championship Tournament. And it's a big one today. It's a big one today because the South Carolina Gamecocks are the 1 seed in the SEC tournament, and they get their tip at noon today. It is interesting to me because, and I said this earlier in the show, shortly after that, there's another top 12 matchup as number 10 Oklahoma takes on number 12 Kentucky. And that's an interesting game, obviously, assuming that the Gamecocks were to win this game today against Vanderbilt, and we're going to talk about the Doors here in just a minute. They would get the winner of that game next. I think it's likely to be Kentucky, but to be honest with you, I could very much see Oklahoma stealing a victory here. Here's what I do know. What I do know is I'm actually more apprehensive and concerned about the game today than I am about the game tomorrow in the semifinal. If South Carolina ends up against Oklahoma or Kentucky, I feel better about that game than I do against Vanderbilt today. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The first is mindset and mentality. I've given Dawn Staley a lot of credit over the years, and one of the things I've given Dawn Staley a lot of credit for over the years is that I cannot recall a game where I've seen the women's basketball team representing the University of South Carolina throttled back. Can't say that about a lot of teams. I don't think I have seen a game in the 5 seasons that I've covered this team living here in the beautiful upstate of South Carolina that I have seen this team throttled back. That's not to say I've seen them win every game. Yeah, they've taken some L's. Lost in a phenomenal tournament game a couple of years back. Have lost a couple of regular season games this year, something they did not do last year. I've seen some L's, but I've never seen an L that I was able to go, lack of effort. They didn't show up today. That's very rare. That's exceptionally rare. But they haven't played a game in a minute. They got the double bye in the SEC tournament. Handful of days off from the season finale. Then Vanderbilt played yesterday. So they've got not just the ring rust, but they've only played one game, right? So, they've got that chance to rebuild their rhythm and their tempo and their chemistry. South Carolina's been sitting on the house for a couple of days now. So I do wonder, not so much will the team come out not there, right? No effort. Because a lot of teams, and I do think this might be the bit of good news for South Carolina not being as separated from the pack as they were last year in this SEC tournament. I think the good news is there's probably not what I think cost a lot of number one seeds conference championships and NCAA March Madness losses, upsets, whatever. I think for a lot of those teams that are one seeds, high seeds, big time favorites, never a dog, I think even the most mentally fortuitous of us, the mentally strong of us, can sometimes let off the gas a little bit, man. Again, the reason that we celebrate people like Kobe Bryant, that, they were attacking the Washington Wizards the same way that they were attacking, the best team in the NBA, is because it's rare. It is human nature to bust your ass to get good at something, but then go, I take a little bit of a day off here, right? And take a little breather here. That's okay. That's all good. That's fine. I don't think that's what would be what happens. What I do think would be what happens is, without a dominant inside player this year, if your team is out of sorts, hadn't played in a couple of days, the rhythm's off, the tempo's off, whatever. If your team's out of sorts, the way that you work around that is to get the ball inside, is to get the ball in the paint, is to run your offense from the paint out. Don't rely on the people who have to be finessed with the ball to be finessed with the ball until you get that rhythm, that tempo, that routine back. I don't know that South Carolina really has that as an option in this game. We talked about the game yesterday. Vanderbilt doesn't knock off Tennessee. They beat Tennessee. Final score was 84-76. That game was not as close as the score indicates. Vandy did not pull starters late, but they got real sloppy late. And Tennessee put up a handful of points. Vandy was up 7 after the first. They were up 6 after the second. Then they were up 15 at the end of the third quarter. Tennessee won the fourth quarter 28-21, but most of the plus 7 differential they won the fourth quarter by, most of them came inside the last 3 minutes when Tennessee was basically out there trying to increase their seed. Look, we're going home after 2 games, but let's make this look like a game so that when the committee meets to decide where we're going to play, because Tennessee is not going to be hosting a regional anymore. They will be traveling in round 1. Let's get the most fortuitous place that we can end up at by making this a game. And they did. They barnstormed the last couple of minutes. At that point, it was pretty clear. I was paying attention to what Vandy was doing inside the last 3 minutes, and basically they just kind of went base everything. Base offense, base defense. They weren't really doing a lot of switching. They weren't really moving around a lot. It was pretty much fall back into a zone. Let them play from the outside in. We'll see what happens. We're not losing this game. And they didn't. What I did think was interesting about this game is, despite the fact that one of their forwards, Camille Pierre, is only 6'2". And she's in the women's game, she's obviously quite tall, but she's not Camila Cardoso, right? She's not, oh, damn, that's a dominant 5. She's a good player. And she's got size to be able to clean the glass. And she did yesterday. 15 boards for the Vanderbilt Commodores. 5 of them offensive rebounds. The Doors had 15 offensive rebounds yesterday. That's 15 second chance points. That's as many as 30 points that Tennessee allowed at least to be an opportunity for the Vanderbilt Commodores. You think on 15 boards they didn't get at least a couple of them back up? Of course they did, right? When Lulu Caston of the Greenville News, who covers the South Carolina Gamecock basketball team for the Greenville News, was in studio yesterday, I asked her the question. If this team does not repeat as SEC Conference Tournament champions, if this team does not repeat against the field in the NCAA March Madness tournament, what do you think would be the reason? And Lulu Kessen's answer, and she has been banging this drum for a few weeks now on the show. Lulu Kessen's response was, because somebody beats them on the glass. Not goes level. I mean, she said she's pretty comfortable saying if they finish games and they're out rebounded by one or two, they still got a pretty good chance to beat most teams in America. But if they get beat on the glass, if the rebounding differential is 7, 10, as it was for Vandy yesterday, 8, if it's in that range, that's where the Gamecocks get in trouble. Because they don't have the shooting percentage last year. They don't have the finishers they had last year. And the one thing that they don't have is the rebounder that they had last year. Obviously, you got some good players on the roster there. Chloe Kitts has got all the experience that South Carolina could possibly want her to have in order to understand where the ball might bounce and how to get to it. But I would also make the point that she's going to have to be damn near perfect. She's averaging 8 boards a game. Vandy's number one rebounder got 15 yesterday. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. That's what has to be kept close today. Kentucky has got some good inside players. They don't have anybody who's getting 15 boards. LSU and Texas, we've seen those teams play. South Carolina's taken a couple L's from those squads. We all know the rivalry. Friendly or not, I don't know. I don't particularly care. We all know the rivalry that has been built up between Dawn Staley and Kim Mulkey over the past couple of years. You know, as it did last year, when I had dudes from the stands jumping over the scorer's table to go try to throw hands with Camila Cardoso. You know that rivalry is intense. But I like the Gamecocks' athleticism to be able to beat LSU. I like the Gamecocks' game overall, the tactical game, to be able to beat Texas. They've already lost to Texas. That loss was on the road. This will be a home court advantage for the Gamecocks. That's the benefit of having it here in the GVL. Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a home court advantage there that they didn't have when they were in a close. Well, we're really close. They got ran out the door by Texas down in Austin. But at least you have that advantage back. I'm more concerned about Vanderbilt right now than I am about, forget who we're going to play tomorrow in the semis. Forget who you're going to play Sunday in the final. You got to make it there, which means today, crash the glass. I know you want to run a fast break. I know you want to run a counter offense, and you got the dogs to do it for sure. Crash the glass today. I know you want Malaysia Fawali going the other way and trying to get those counterattack buckets. And I'm not saying take that out of the rotation. What I'm saying is crash the glass. If they are going to have a 15-board rebounder underneath, you need to send 3 down there to try to counter that. Texter said it's not Vanderbilt, Rob. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Just like it's Greenville. Duh.
It's Greenville. And it's Louisville. We say it weird. I don't know what you tell me. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Was that to beat the books?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just it didn't fire. Yeah, I missed the beat the books earlier, probably.
Oh, that's too bad. I did it.
Well, I don't know that it's recording.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, so.
Fun. That was my time to shine. I skipped over. That's hurtful. Give me 30 seconds. Be right back. sitting down for the game.
I am sitting down for the game. Probably a good move.
I got at 2:15 this morning a cramp in my right butt cheek. And dude, I damn near yelped. It woke me up. And I was like, why did I had to stop myself from making that noise. I had to get up and hop out of the bedroom, which, by the way, I've lost some weight, still 220. Waking up the dog, waking up the cat, waking up the wife. I had to go in the living room, get my little foam back roller thing, and try to roll this thing out at 2:15 in the morning. And then guess who didn't go back to bed after that? I was wide awake.
Sign of age.
Dude, it sucked so bad.
I awaken to the Charlie horses at least 4 to 5 times a week.
Oh, my golly. I was mad as hell, dude.
Well, trust me, I understand. Because then it's like, man, I was sleeping good, too. And
I was sleeping like a beaut. I forgot about this. I told Lonzo during the live stream. Join us on the live stream. We have conversations with you, the Armada, on our live stream, facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, The Fan Upstate on X, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and Twitch. We stream all 4 hours, all 5 days of the week. Quick housekeeping note, we will be off next Thursday, Friday, and then the following Monday and Tuesday. Lonzo will be out on Wednesday. I will be here rolling the show solo. We will both be off on Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. We will return the following Wednesday. The lady friend and the little bro were kind enough and thoughtful enough to book us a trip down to New Orleans for my favorite holiday of the year, St. Patrick's Day, celebrating the old Irish roots, to go see some friends and family down in the Big Easy.
Just be careful.
Oh, I'm going to be fine. I'm a seasoned professional. Or an absolute beast.
Really? Because, I mean, you probably ain't rolled that hard in a while, so
It has been a little while. But that's all right. That's all right. We're going to be just fine. So anyway, we'll be off on Thursday, Friday.
Can you promise no rail slides?
Yes, I can promise that.
Okay. All right.
I have not put my immaculate booty on a railing since I KO'd myself with a Tyson Fury shot from the concrete. It was bad.
That was, what, a year ago, or was that 2 years ago?
It was like 2 years ago. I think it was like 2020, like mid-2023. It's like summer 23 when the Eagles came to town. You ever watched your favorite band play with a mild concussion? I have. Anyway, we're going down to New Orleans. We'll be off for a couple days. So, I'm glad you said that, because I do occasionally have to give myself an ever so brief reminder that the old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be. All right? I ain't an old man, but I ain't a young man no more. Y'all, I need to know, because Lonzo's already said he does. I need to know if any of y'all out there are aware. I don't like you, Sean. I need to know if any of y'all.
You should love him. That's your brother. Man.
I do love him. Okay. I don't like him. There's a difference.
Okay.
If anybody else has dealt with this, because I did last night for the first time. This has never happened to me. Finished the show at 11. Was in bed at 11:30. I was out about midnight. And that usually transitions to me sleeping in a little bit. I'll sleep in till like 3:45. Okay? So I slept in a little bit till around 3:45. Or that was the plan anyway. Because about 2:15 a.m., I was awakened from my slumber. And I was awakened by one of the worst immediate sparks of pain I've ever felt in my life. From the middle of a rock-solid sleep, I was out like a light. I awoke to a cramp in my right butt cheek that I cannot begin to describe to you. Like, you know how you have that pain? And it's so pain that like you can't even make a noise. You're just like, and that's all you can get out. It was that. So here I am, laying in the bed, fighting for my life, with my right butt cheek cramped up tight, going, because I also know that if I like squeal as I wanted to, I'll wake the wife up at 2:15. She wouldn't be mad, but I'd feel real bad about it, okay? And Lonzo will tell you, I carry guilt around like he carries grudges around for a very long time. I'd have felt awful. So at 2:15 in the morning.
Win reward.
That's
Awards,
also true.
Baby.
That's true. At 2:15 in the morning, I had to get up, get out of the bed. I had to hop like a one-legged man out into the hallway, where I then had to make my way to the living room. And by the way, yeah, I've dropped some LBs. 220.2 when I got up and weighed myself this morning. All right. I'm trying to get back down to like wedding weight. I've decided I think I want to hang out there. All right. Yeah, 220. It's the lightest I've been since the wedding. That ain't light. We got hardwood floors built on an elevated house. I'm sure it sounded like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park was coming down the street. Poof, poof, poof. I get out to the living room. I lay on the floor. I get the little foam roller for my back because, yep, again, 40. I put it under my butt cheek, and I'm just like doing a yoga workout at 2:15 on the living room floor, trying to not eat bleep off of my foam roller, trying to balance myself. Can't balance myself on my right leg because it's clenched up like yo. So I'm like trying to roll my butt cheek, balancing myself on my left hand and my left leg, rolling around on the floor like a weirdo. And then at that point, there was no going back to sleep.
Why don't you take a hot bath?
I mean, in that moment, again, awakened from the soundest of slumbers, with sharp shooting pain, my brain was not like, oh, here's the proper way to handle that. Rest, ice, compression, elevation, hot shower. We even got one of the removable, the wand shower heads.
Yeah.
So, make your life a little easier.
Can you change your settings?
Oh, yeah,
it's got
the
a little bit harder.
I'm going to tell you right now, had I thought about this, I'd have been in there with that
there you go.
massager, and I'd have pointed that thing right at my butt and just let it go to town. I'm not even ashamed I said that sentence. All right?
Didn't
think about it. My brain was not in a working condition at 2:15 when I thought that I got stabbed in the butt cheek.
It's unfortunate for you, but this is probably the first of many. So, I mean, at least now you know what to expect. And
is that just a normal thing?
It's unfortunate.
Is that just something that's going to happen to me?
If I move my leg the wrong way, I can feel it coming on. It's like, oh, no. And I've had to jump up out of the bed to stop because in my case, it happens in more than one place. Once it starts, it's a chain reaction. Mad therapy suggests Pedialyte. I don't know. Does that work?
No, he was telling me that when I said I'm going to go down to New Orleans for St. Patrick's Day weekend. Was to pound Pedialyte, which not a rookie. Mad therapy, not a rookie. But I appreciate you looking out for me. The Pedialyte is literally already bought for this trip. Okay?
Yeah, I have a theory that, at least for me, and that's why I asked you, were you in deep sleep, that's when they happen more, when you're in deep sleep, because I think that's when you're the most relaxed, and maybe you move the wrong way or something in your sleep. It's usually in deep sleep for me and dreaming, and because usually I sleep really still, but if I'm dreaming, I don't, and that's when it happens.
So this has not been an issue. There have been times where, like, I'll go play, 27 holes of golf in a day, or, somebody like my buddy Tammy will call me and be like, you want to go get some hoops in, and I'll go hoop for like 30, 45 minutes. It's not very often, but every now and then I'll go get physical. I want to get physical. Let's start getting physical. And those days, like, I've had some where I've like, I feel like I'm cramping up, and then I can like stretch it out real quick, kind of hit the hip bend or the pull the foot to the butt stretch or whatever. Not as easy as it used to be, but I can do it. And I've been able to prevent this from becoming a thing. Last night was the first night that I was awakened as if somebody had just informed me that the nuclear war started, and it started directly on my right butt cheek. Dude, when I tell you that I shot. I've never understood the expression, I shot up out of bed, because I don't. When Rob Brown awakes from the slumber, he's an angry bear coming out of hibernation. Even my wife, when I wake up, she gives me like 10 minutes of clear, right? Like 10 minutes to like come online. Even my wife is like, when she gets up, she don't wake me up. She just leaves the room. And when I get up, she knows I'll come out of the room when I'm awake and I'm ready. I don't wake up and just, having a good, healthy sleep pattern is a superpower. Because again, she can put head on pillows though, and she's out 3 minutes.
Yeah, we don't know
every
about
time.
that sleep pattern.
It's
thing.
unbelievable.
Yeah, we don't.
3 minutes. She can turn off the TV, put head to pillow, and she's out in 3 minutes. Takes me, I'm not kidding you, every night. Takes me half an hour plus to fall asleep. I just have to lay there pretending like I'm asleep for a half an hour before I pass out. She, when she wakes up in the morning, it's up. She'll hit the stretch, and then she's like, all right, time to go for the day. I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, if anybody says a word to me right now, I will murder them. Don't talk to me. 10 minutes. Let me get my life together, even when I come into work. Like, I'm real glad Lonzo comes in about half an hour after me, because that's half an hour for me to become a normal, friendly, happy person. Wake up, Rob's not that guy.
You need to point out that I prefer not to talk, but you want to talk, because I'm the first person you can talk to.
Yeah.
So now I just jump in and say something first.
Yeah, and I'm a social guy, so
you won't ask me how I'm doing, because I'm not doing good. It's before 6 a.m.
I have never understood the expression, I shot out of bed. I've never shot out of bed. I've wanted to shoot people from my bed, but I've never shot out of bed.
You talk about, neighbors and
Metaphorically.
stuff that are
Metaphorically.
making noises and
Metaphorically.
stuff. No one that's actually
don't talk to me. 10 minutes. Even my wife knows that. When I tell you, for the first time in my life this morning at 2:15 o'clock in the morning, or 2 a.m., 2:15 a.m., I can't even speak now, that I shot out of bed. I swear to you, if there was a switch that I could turn on and off to go from not alert to every sound, sight, color, smell, and taste in a 10-mile radius that fast, I'd never drink another energy drink ever again. It was the most, and it was only like probably 45 seconds. Dude, I would give my left little finger to never have to experience that again. Joey B said, yup, welcome to 40, bro.
Like I said, this is just the beginning of a journey that you're going to take. It's not a fun journey.
I hate everything that has happened to me so far today just because that's how it started. Let's take a break. Back after this, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate.
Oh, he's awake when he comes in here.
Very. Like, by 6 o'clock, I'm good, but I've been up for 2.5 hours at that point. Like, I'm good by 6. I don't need but like 15 minutes to come online, but that first 10 minutes, man, like, do not talk to me. When I go, like, the wife and I love going on vacations with friends. Like, we'll go, like, we went to the Dominican last year. There was a group of, like, 8 of us. We are right now looking at putting together a trip for an all-inclusive resort in Mexico this fall for our weekly. We love going on trips with people, but I cannot and will not go on a trip with other people unless I have my own room. Not bed, not wing, room. Because I must avoid humanity for the 10 to 12 minutes after I wake up, or somebody gonna have a problem.
You get one of those massager things. My wife has one of those.
The guns?
The sports ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got one of those. It just hurts me. I can't.
We have one, and I actually use it quite frequently. I use it on like my thighs after I play golf, or I'll use it on my calves if I like. Even there's some days after the show I'll plug it in. The problem is we keep it in her vanity down to the bottom drawer, and that vanity is like her great grandma's, and it's like when you open it, so I can't get to it. And then even if I do, I bought. All right, so like when I go get massages, which I don't as much as I used to, but when I get massages, I'm going to get like the Swedish make me hurt massage. I 100% judge away. I'm like, dude masseuse. I need a dude to just beat the crap out of me. That's the only way it works for me. So when I bought this massage gun, I bought like a $200 like
high impact,
9,000 PSI. Like this thing could be used to crack concrete if I'm in a bind massager. The problem is it is chainsaw loud when you get it up to the full speed. There's nowhere in the house that I could have used it without her being like, yo, what are you doing? Achoo! Steven, I will put it this way. If I awoke at 6 a.m., if that was when my alarm went off, I could not listen to this show. Because I'd want to kill me. I'd be like, no, screw you, buddy. Absolutely not. That's a negative, buddy, right there.
You mean you never think of that about yourself? Ever?
No, because again, at 6 a.m., I'm usually wide-ass awake. Rob Brown time. Rob Brown time. Wrapping up the Friday edition of the show right here on the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you, 844-326-3663. If you want to jump in here at the end of the radio broadcast, now's your opportunity, 844-326-3663. Text that number, call that number, and be a part of the show for the final 20 minutes of it, 15 minutes of it, 14 minutes of it. I don't know, the last little bit of the broadcast. We would love to have you. A couple of topics that I want to jump through and around, some that we have covered, some that we have not thus far. We will start with the little NHL hockey. Real quick, like couple of things that I am very much enjoying right now. A couple of things I'm interested in seeing how it is that they play out. I will start with the Carolina Hurricanes. 3-2 win over the Boston Bruins last night. Good win. The interesting thing is this. On Wednesday's edition of BetMGM tonight, I am filling in for the remainder of the week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I guess the remainder of the weeks tonight. I'll be on tonight, but I had bid in for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And on Wednesday, we had a young lady on the show, Rachel Dory, who covers the NHL and all the other sports for Betalytics. She runs a fantastic company. We're actually going to start having Rachel on the show to talk a little hockey with us moving forward. She covers all the NHL, including the Canes. So, had Rachel Dory on, and we got into the conversation about the Carolina Hurricanes because they made a big trade just a handful of weeks ago for Mikko Rantanen. Finnish player, absolute stud, brought him over from Colorado. They sent over a couple of pretty good players over to Colorado to bring Rantanen over. And he's a great player. He's an absolute great player. He's an absolute beaut of a player. I'll start doing the hockey stuff now. Right, bud? Absolute beaut of a player. So the conversation turned into, Texter just said, please no more hockey talk. Yeah, give me 3 minutes. Hang in there, Texter. You'll be all right. You'll get through it. Love a little ice hockey, bud. They brought him over. It's the final year of his deal. He is not obligated to sign a new contract now with the Carolina Hurricanes. And the thought was that hopefully they would. Hopefully he would sign a new deal, stay with the team for a while. The rumor coming out of Raleigh, North Carolina right now is that Miko has decided he will not sign a new contract with the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know what it was that caused it. I don't know if it's an issue with Rob Brindamore. I don't know if it's an administrative front office issue or he just hates being in Raleigh, North Carolina. Have you been to Raleigh before, Zoe?
Been around it, but I don't think I've been actually in it.
Is there anything up there besides the colleges?
Well, Mayberry's up there somewhere.
So no?
No.
Okay. Fair enough. I've never been to Raleigh. I haven't been to Raleigh yet. I'm kind of disappointed in myself. I need to get up there. I always said I was going to go up there and do
Well, you just ask if what's up there. If there's nothing up there, why would you go up there?
Duke and UNC basketball. Raleigh, Durham, Duke, UNC basketball. Durham Bulls. I go see a Durham Bulls game. Okay, let me rephrase that. Outside of the sports, is there anything up there? Because there's good sports up that way. I need to get up there for a Duke UNC swing. Anyway, I don't know if it's just because there is apparently nothing there or what, but he wants back out. He's not going to sign a new contract, which leaves the Carolina Hurricanes with one option. And that one option is to trade him again. And that is interesting because now there's not a lot of options there. There's not a lot of options there. But alas, I woke up overnight at 2:15 in the morning. And what I found out, because at 3:15 in the morning, I was laying on the floor in my living room asking for the sweet release of death, I was scrolling the internets. And what I found out was that there was a little bit of news breaking out of the NHL out of Dallas, Texas, that Carolina and the Dallas Stars have the framework of a trade that would send Mikko Rantanen to Texas. The two teams have not agreed to all of the particulars, but apparently they've got enough of them done that the two teams have a handshake agreement. We've got a couple of details to clean up, but it is involved with Dallas getting Mikko to sign a new contract. They believe that they can. They believe the conversation is deep enough that he will re-sign. The question mark is, what will Carolina get? And unfortunately, because this framework came down at the buck crack of dawn this morning, we don't know. All I'm going to say is, when they brought Mikko to Carolina, that was a coup. That was a big opportunity. Pair him up with Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis. That's a good starting five for the Canes. But it was always going to come with the risk. It was always going to come with the risk. The risk being that Mikko would not re-sign. The risk being that he would not only not re-sign, but he wouldn't reach a decision until it was too late for Carolina to trade him back away. And if they did not get that done before it was time for him to trade away or to have to be traded away, which is today, NHL trade deadline, Carolina could have screwed themselves. So this trade, if it was to come down the pipe, this trade could very much be a jumping off point for the future of this franchise. It could very much be a jumping off point for the future of the franchise if they can't get a genuinely good return for Mikko Rantanen. Carolina may have just taken an enormous step back. They wanted to re-sign him. They tried to re-sign him. They had hoped to re-sign him. It did not come through. That's unfortunate, kind of a gigantic bummer. But at least you knew before the deadline, even if it was only a day or two out, which gives you the opportunity to pull something together. What I'm hoping for is that Carolina is not pulling a Dallas Mavericks here and just giving them to the first team that called or that they called. What I'm hoping for here is that they put him up on the block. They made it known. They did an anti-Mavs. They let it be known that he was available, and Dallas put together the best offer. But we'll find out probably later on today. One other bit of news that I wanted to get to. This one probably going to be interesting to even less of you than that one was. I don't care. Kind of a big deal. There's a big-time soccer story that is breaking over the last couple of days. Apparently, according to ESPN yesterday, apparently the president of U.S. Soccer Federation, Cindy Parlow-Cone, is set to be elected to the FIFA Council. CONCACAF is having their annual Congress coming up on March 15th in St. Lucia. Sounds nice. I'd love to go if anybody needs me to carry a bag, at which point the election to the FIFA Council will be held. Cone is running unopposed, meaning she will likely be voting in and confirmed on the 15th. She will fill the North American slot previously held by former Mexican Football Federation President Yon de Luisa. CONCACAF has 5 slots on the 37-member FIFA Council, which outside the broader FIFA Congress is the main decision-making body of FIFA. 1 slot is taken by the CONCACAF president. The other 3 are represented by the Caribbean, Central America, and North America regions. Another slot is designated for a female representative, currently filled by Sonia Fulford of the Turks and Caicos. The United States will send Parlow-Cone on to that as they are set to host the 2026 World Cup. And on top of that, they're putting forward a proposal to also host the 2031 Women's World Cup. The U.S. has not had representation on the FIFA Council since 2021 when the term of former USSF President Sunil Gulati expired. And on top of that, Parlow-Cone has been, while not perfect, let me be clear, a dramatically better leader of the USSF. USSF has taken immense strides forward. We still have miles to go before we are where I want us to be as a genuine, bona fide world player, a player that is... Tim Howard and Landon Donovan do a podcast together. And they got asked the question by a listener, basically, is there any shot, even a do you believe in miracles? Yes! Opportunity for the U.S. to at least find their way into a World Cup final if we are hosting it. And Tim Howard said no. No, because in order to get to that spot, you've got to win 2 out of 3 games in the group, and then you effectively have to put together, including qualifying, effectively 10 wins against top-tier ranked teams. 10 wins. And we're just not there yet. In fact, since we had our new coach take over not terribly long ago, we don't have a win against the top 10 team, against the top 15, against the top 20 team. Got wins, plenty of them, not even a lot of ties. But no big-time ranked wins. And Tim Howard said you got to string a few of those together to get to that point. We're just not there yet. But the ability of Cindy Parlow-Cone to go to FIFA, to have American representation in a way that with 2 World Cups, one for sure, one hopefully coming up, she can advance the interest of American soccer. This feels to me like while it's not Christian Pulisic doing crazy things on a field, in terms of making things happen in the most corrupt organization in sports, FIFA, this is the biggest step forward we have had in a very long time.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Soccer talk, baby!
All right, lots of things Xing, and no way we get to all of them. The first one...
All right, 30 seconds on each. Let's go. Burner.
Oh, no, there's no way. The first one's Bronny James.
Bronny James is trending because Bronny James is going back to the G League?
Oh, you don't know.
Coming up from the G League?
Oh, you don't know.
I don't know.
So Stephen A. had some things to say about Bronny James, and LeBron James confronted him last night on the court. There is video. We don't hear what he says, but there is video. There are words spoken, and
Come here.
And Stephen A. looks a little concerned.
Come here. Listen
I
to
ain't
me.
coming over there.
No, not you. Not you. America, watching on the stream, come here. Hashtag Team Bronny. Just so we're clear. Hashtag Team Bronny. Nobody hates more than SAS, than Screaming A. Nobody hates more on everything.
He just signed a $100 million contract,
Yeah,
by the way.
and I'm over. I got to tell you, I've dropped ESPN. On my YouTube TV at the crib, you can arrange your channels by most watched. ESPN's not even in the top 10 anymore.
All right. Speaking of that, the next thing it's Xing is Charles Barkley.
I think I know why Chuck is Xing. It is because he called Kendrick Perkins, I believe it was a clown idiot, or an idiot clown, or a fool clown, or a fool. He used 2 back-to-back names. He said, those clown idiots on that network that we're about to go work for and basically clowned on him for hating any and everything. What he said was, all y'all ever do is talk about the Lakers and the Warriors. You got the Boston Celtics over here doing big things. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are the second best team in the league, and it ain't particularly close. And all y'all do is get up every day, turn it on, and talk Lakers and Warriors over and over and over. And I'm tired of it. Straight up called K-Perk and ESPN. And good on Chuck for doing it.
And that's it. It's like he's trying to get out of the job before he gets the job.
I don't think he is. I think he's trying to set himself up as, I'm going to go over there and be the disruptor, because let's be real, that's the Chuck we all love.
All right, the next thing that's Xing is John Cena.
John Cena is Xing because we don't know if he's showing up on SmackDown now or not.
No, this is kind of cool, actually.
Okay, fire away.
All right, he has a Guinness World Record.
Most Make-A-Wishes? Do we know that one already?
No.
Or another one?
The longest babyface run in wrestling.
Yeah, of course.
Which is now broken.
Yeah.
So no,
well, it's not broken. It's just
well, until someone else breaks it.
There's an end date on it now.
Until Rey Mysterio. I think Rey Mysterio is the next guy that can
I don't
break
think Rey's even going to be close. Rey was a heel a number of times throughout his
I know.
career.
I mean, but
like while John was already a face.
But currently
he's the closest.
Yeah, he is. So he's got that going for him.
Yeah, and it can't be Cody. He's well past that mark at this point. Here's the thing. John Cena did the Doctor of Thugonomics, which I don't think he was really heel or face. I think he was kind of like one of those tweener characters. So I think you have to count that as a face for this to stand. I am thinking through everybody everywhere, and I don't think that character exists anymore. And I don't think it exists anymore because of the way that the world orchestrates. You can't really get over a eat your vitamins, say your prayers kind of baby face anymore. The public fades. Even Cody Rhodes, like we were kind of fading off on Cody up until the Cena turn. That's why they had to do it. I don't think you can have a 20+ year eat your vegetables kind of pure baby face anymore.
All right, two more things. Daylight saving time.
Oh, is that coming up?
We spring forward this weekend.
Oh, this weekend.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, this is literally the first I've heard of that. Can we stop? Can we stop with that?
Well, our president supposedly is trying to do that. So
good.
That possibly after we spring, that it's going to stay that way.
Good.
We'll see.
I will tell you right now, he has my full, entire, and unbridled support in the effort.
Wow, that's the wildest thing you've heard this. And finally, and I keep putting this off, and I planned on getting to this, but I don't know if I have enough time. But I'm going to say that the last thing that's Xing is procrastination.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it now. I'll talk about it later.
Cracker.
That's it for us, dudes and dudettes. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for being here all week long. Lonzo and I will be out until Monday because that's how weekends work. Have a great weekend. Do not drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. If you're at the well for the South Carolina game today, come find the tall, handsome man that is me and say hello. I'd love to see you. Otherwise, we'll see y'all back here on Monday to do it all over again, but better. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. Have a great weekend. See you back here Monday for the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later!
It's good. It's good. The job is done. We can go home now.
Bye, Miss Lisa.
Crack is out, yo.
Crack is out, yo. I'm saying that after I leave every room forever. Oh, man. All right, you guys are fantastic. Thank you for being here. Tell your friends about us. Bet for the cycle tomorrow, noon to 4. Me and Cody Decker dressed as the Outsiders. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Have a great weekend.